Bedlam time. Joe Davis, Joey Harrington.
All right, Robin, Memorial Stadium is sold out for the 98th consecutive game. It is Bedlam, 109th version. Oklahoma State ready to take on the number 20 team in the country, Oklahoma, on a crisp December day with the temperatures in below 40s as we get set for kickoff. Welcome inside. Joe Davis, Joey Harrington, Chris Button joins us in a moment. This is a series that historically has been dominated by Oklahoma. More interesting the last few years, and it's had Big 12 title implications the last few years. Not the case today, but what is at stake?
Well, pride is at stake. I mean, Oklahoma State has had a very inconsistent year, starting 5-1, but like you said, losing the last 5. And while a win today would give them 6 and make them bowl eligible, the most important thing is that they would have beaten Oklahoma, and in this state, that is huge. 365 days of bragging rights. But that's not going to be an easy job, because on the other side of the field is probably the best offensive line in all of college football, and they're blocking for a young man named Samaje Perine. Over the last 2 games, 640 yards and 8 touchdowns, including an FBS record 427 yards against Kansas. I mean, this guy is the most mature running back I've seen in a long time for a freshman, and he's running behind an O-line that opens up gaping holes.
Well, Mike Gundy, head coach for OK State, wasn't prepared to name his starting quarterback during the week. He said that he'd make up his mind on the bus ride to the stadium. He's had that bus ride, and Chris Button, you've got an answer.
Yes, he has made up his mind. I talked to Coach Gundy moments ago. He told me that Mason Rudolph is going to get the start today, making the freshman's 2nd consecutive start. Now, him and Dax Garman split reps throughout practice, but Coach Gundy told me that Mason just looked better this week, and they met after Thursday's practice and decided that he was better, ready to go to start this game. Now, for OU, they are optimistic that Sterling Shepard will be able to play today. They're just not sure how much. He's been limited recently with a lingering groin injury, Joe.
All right, Chris, be interested to see if he can go and help things out in that passing game for Oklahoma. Sooners trying to win their 3rd in a row to cap the regular season. OK State trying to snap a long 5-game skid. It's Bedlam, and it's next on Fox Sports 1.
Gilbert down the right sideline, touchdown! Touchdown, Oklahoma! Sooners win Bedlam! Pistols firing! Touchdown, Oklahoma State! The students are storming the field. Happy day! To the one, reaching, touchdown, Sooners! Bedlam is over, and the Sooners have won it! Hands it off to Rowland, pushing his way into the end zone. It is good! And Oklahoma has defeated Oklahoma State!
Fox Sports 1 College Football is presented by K Jewelers. And yes, 3 of the last 4 Bedlams have been decided in the final minutes. It may be that Oklahoma's dominated this series all time, and they've won 10 of the last 11. So on paper, they've dominated recently as well, but things much more interesting over the last few years for Mike Gundy and this Oklahoma State program as they've really come on as one of the Big 12 powers. That's what's made this season such a disappointment for that team. The guy that's been a part of 24 Bedlam games now. Bob Stoops in his 15 Bedlams, 12-3. Oklahoma State won the toss and deferred to the second half, so the Sooners will have it to begin. And Alex Ross, who's brought back 2 for touchdowns this year, takes a knee. And OU begins at the 25. Joey, give us 3 things we need to know.
Well, quarterback Cody Thomas for Oklahoma hasn't needed to throw the ball the last couple of weeks, but today he's going to have to complete some passes to at least keep Oklahoma State's defense honest. He hasn't had to throw the ball because he's had a guy named Samaje Perine, 640 yards and 8 touchdowns over the last 2 games. That's kind of good.
Not bad.
Last time I checked, yeah. Oklahoma State's defense, on the other hand, has given up a touchdown drive, touchdowns on the first 2 possessions over the last 4 games. They have to avoid that slow start if they want to stay in this football game.
They're facing the Big 12's top rushing offense. They've struggled to stop the run lately. More than 200 yards per game allowed on the ground over the last 5 for the Cowboys. They've been one of the worst in the nation against the pass all year. So Cody Thomas and this offense break the huddle for the game's first play. They bring a jet sweep into the short side. It's Micaiah Quick, whose role is increased with the injury to Sterling Shepard. Angled out of bounds by Kevin Peterson and a first down gain of 8.
Well, Joe, the offensive line for Oklahoma is the one that gets all the credit for blocking, but right there, Deron Neal was the one who sprung that play, getting a great block from the slot. Everybody on this Oklahoma team needs to block if they're going to have success today.
This is Samaje Perine. He's got a first down on his first carry, drags the defender across the 45. Ran for an FBS record 427 yards on 34 carries in his last game against Kansas.
Samaje Perine, I love what Coach Josh Heupel said. He's the most physically and mentally mature young man I've seen come through here in a long time. He is a special freshman.
Fresh set of downs from the 48 on Oklahoma's first possession. Back-to-back Perine touches. Steps out of the tackle, crosses midfield. Pulled down by Seth Jacobs after a pickup of about 3 for a guy at 243 pounds out of Pflugerville, Texas, who arrived as the number 4 running back for the Sooners. He had Ford, who was going to be the starter. Joe Mixon dismissed this season for off-the-field issues. Alex Ross was also ahead of Perine in the depth chart. But Perine taking advantage of the increased opportunities in a big way. Ross in motion, takes it on second down. Has Bell in front for a block for a first down inside the 35. Bumped out of bounds by Jordan Stearns after a gain of 17.
Joe, again, Deron Neal, number 5. You're going to see him right here in the slot. Does a great job of sealing that edge to allow Alex Ross to get to the outside. You see a lot of wide receivers. They don't want to get in there. They don't want to mix it up. Deron Neal, twice now on this opening series, has done a great job not catching the ball but blocking.
Into Oklahoma State territory from the 32. Perine back in the game at running back. And they'll give it to him. This time swallowed up, got maybe a yard. Josh Furman, the Michigan transfer, is in there first. Well, it's an Oklahoma team early on this season was throwing for more yards than it was running the ball. They've been a good running team all season, but since Trevor Knight has gone out with the injury, a remarkable split almost exclusively on the ground over the last at least 6 quarters coming into this one.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of things that go into that. Trevor Knight's injury, Sterling Shepard's injury, the weather in the last couple games. I mean, it was a monsoon against Kansas.
Direct snap to Perine. Huge hole off the left side. And Perine sets up first down and goal. More of the same for the Sooners with a gaping hole for 27.
Joe, this offensive line for Oklahoma, I said it at the start, I think they're the best in the country. Watch the size of this hole off the left side in between Aaron Ripkowski and left tackle Tyrus Thomas. I mean, heck, I could have run through that hole for at least maybe 5 or 6. And you give a guy like Samaje Perine that much space, there's no stopping that.
First down and goal from the 4. Aaron Ripkowski in at fullback. And he leads the way for Perine. Like clockwork on the first drive. Dominant performance on the ground for a Sooner touchdown.
Joe, until Oklahoma State shows that they can stop the ground game for the Sooners, you are going to get a heavy dose of this. Aaron Ripkowski as the lead blocker, Samaje Perine following him through the hole, in for 6.
And Honeycutt's extra point is good. 8 plays, 8 runs for the Sooners. And now over the last 6+ quarters, how about this split? 96 run plays, 16 pass plays. Whatever it takes, this is a dominant opening drive for the Sooners and a 7-0 lead. A lot of great running backs in the history of this program. Steve Owens, Billy Vessels, Billy Sims, some of DeMarco Murray. long history of great running backs, and Samaje Perine putting together one of the best freshman seasons, not just at Oklahoma, but for a running back in college football history. And 50 yards on the opening drive, 7 plays and all runs for the Sooners.
What's that, 690 yards now over the last couple of games?
We're talking an historic clip.
Oh yeah, he was only 27 yards behind the FBS record for a two-game stretch. He may be adding to that right now.
Short kick taken at the 5 and brought back across the 20-yard line by Des Roland. That's where Oklahoma State will begin its first possession. Chris told us off at the top of the show that it will be Mason Rudolph. Give us 3 things we need to know.
Well, yeah, Mason Rudolph, his first start a couple weeks ago against Baylor, played well, 280 yards and 2 touchdowns through the air, but he's going to have to do more than that today in the Bedlam game. He's going to be looking for another true freshman, James Washington, who's emerged as the top wide receiver for Oklahoma State. This young man has a lot of potential, and if they're going to do it against this Oklahoma defense, it's going to be through the air. Against the run, they're 11th in the FBS against the rush, but through the air, 114th against the pass. Teams can throw it against Oklahoma.
They're coming off their best game. They held Kansas to 103 yards in a downpour 2 weeks ago. Rudolph starts out of the gun. They fake it to Hill, give it to Roland, who went for 144 yards and a couple of touchdowns in that loss for Oklahoma State in Stillwater last year in the Bedlam game. Roland not nearly as big of a season numbers-wise. Kind of a trickle-down effect from the struggling offensive line and the lack of mobility at quarterback.
Well, I think that's the key. J.W. Walsh not being in the ballgame, his ability to run keeps the defense honest. And Coach Gundy told us a couple weeks ago, those runs that went for 10 and 12 yards for Roland last year are only going for 4 to 6 this year because that backside end is allowed to crash down since there's no threat of the run by the quarterback.
Rudolph to throw for the first time. Steps away from the pressure. Heaves one dangerously that finds Washington. The freshman Thomas took a chance. Couldn't come up with it. And Washington made him pay for 25 yards close to midfield.
Boy, what movement in the pocket by Mason Rudolph there. Had a guy coming free right up the middle. Slides to the side. Finds his receiver. You said it. Made a little bit of a dangerous throw out to James Washington there, but you'll see it. Rudolph has a guy come screaming free right up the middle, slides to the side, gets the ball out. Nice job by the freshman.
From the 48, first down, Oklahoma State. Rudolph into the wide side, too tall for an open Washington. And it's second down and 10. It's the lowest scoring Oklahoma State offense since 2005. Remember, Rudolph against Baylor 2 weeks ago led him to 28 points. They hadn't scored more than 1 offensive touchdown in the previous 4 games.
Well, a lot of things contribute to that. Dax Garman has been receiving a lot of the criticism, but look, he's had no chance to throw the football this year. The offensive line has been, I guess, porous to say the very least. Mason Rudolph coming in fresh, just a spark he's been able to provide.
Second and 10. Rudolph pulls it and then gets it out to Hill. He makes one man miss, and the speedster breaking back to the inside for a first down. Anytime you talk to a defensive coordinator that's getting ready to face Oklahoma State, the first name he brings up, Tyreek Hill.
Well, and there's the reason why. This young man is special fast. I mean, he is a track star, a football star. He's second in the Big 12 in all-purpose yards, almost 500 yards rushing, 700 yards in kick returns. Anytime this guy gets the ball in open space, he's dangerous.
Full house backfield on first down from the 42. Here's Hill off the left side. Bubbling it away from Alexander with a cutback. Surges forward for 6 or 7. Alexander was there for the stop on Hill's second consecutive touch.
Well, Joe, Oklahoma State is putting a little bit of offensive momentum together here right now. They're moving the chains for the first time in a couple games. You know, I asked Coach Gundy, why hasn't Tyreek Hill been a bigger part of the offense over the last 2 games? And he said, it's not like we're not trying to get him the ball. We just haven't been converting on third down to sustain drives. Oklahoma State on this first drive is doing a nice job of moving the chains. Therefore, Hill's getting more touches.
Hill's deployed out to the near side with one-on-one against Sanchez. They roll a safety over the top, and Rudolph will hand it off to Roland, who's got a hole for a first down. over the left side of that offensive line that's been patchwork, and in that Baylor game 2 weeks ago, all kinds of changes up front, trying to find the right combination.
Well, I think Zachary Crabtree coming back at right tackle has really been the key, or at least was the key in the Baylor game. With Crabtree coming back at tackle, they were able to move Grisby and Wilson back to guards. You mentioned it. They've been moving people all over the place on that offensive line, but I think getting Crabtree back has been the key.
From the 29, they fake to Glidden. Rudolph has a man over the middle. First down and goal. It's Jeremy Seaton, the junior, with his 7th catch of the season for 26 yards. And the fake opened the middle of the field.
Joe, Mason Rudolph pumped out to the right side, got the defense to slide, and you said it, found Seaton right up the middle.
Des Roland down to the 1, stopped by Alexander, 2nd and goal. Roland had a big game last year in this matchup. Couple of touchdowns. They had 144 yards. That didn't include a 75-yard touchdown on the first play of the game that was overturned by a penalty. On 2nd and goal, Roland again plunges in for the Oklahoma State touchdown. And the Cowboys respond to the Sooners' score with a strike of their own.
Joe, this is what we've come to expect from Oklahoma State over the last few years. Explosive plays through the air. The little quick hitters to the outside, and then you give it to Desmond Roland, the hammer, to finish things off. 6'2", 210 pounds. He's a big, strong running back. Plunges in for the 6-point answer.
29th career score for the senior from Dallas. Hoping that this isn't his final collegiate game. Oklahoma State trying to snap that 5-game skid to reach a bowl for a school record 9th straight season. And all scoring plays are checked at the replay booth, so they take time to assure that this was a touchdown. And they need a little bit longer to take a look.
Anything there that would overturn that call, Joe. Remember, the tip of the football only has to touch the first part of that white goal line. And from that view there, I don't see anything that could change it.
And the call on the field is a touchdown, so it need to be beyond a shadow of a doubt that it wasn't in order to overturn it. I think you may hear that this one's confirmed.
Yeah.
Versus just stands, which would mean they didn't have enough evidence to overturn it. Alan Eck, head referee today. Replay official for this crew is David Ames, and if that name sounds familiar, it made Oklahoma State fans. He was the replay official in Bedlam last year that didn't overturn that controversial play in the final Oklahoma drive.
Further review. The ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
It does stand as a touchdown. Remember, Oklahoma State thought they had gotten an interception to end what would be Oklahoma's winning drive in last year's Bedlam. But wasn't overturned after being called an incomplete pass. And again, David Ames returning today as replay official of Bedlam again. So Roland's touchdown stands. And Ben Grogan on for the extra point. To tie the game at 7. 9 plays, 77 yards with good balance. This is one of the 4 passes on the drive. The Seaton down the seam to set up on 2nd down and goal. The touchdown run from Roland. Good balance from the Cowboys. Sooners back in the field when you come back. Well, if you can't make it to the game, you can home gate right from your couch with Ballpark Patties. So American, you can taste it. That chili, that looks good today, huh? Temperature down in the low 40s.
That's what looks good right there.
Yes. Scoring drive for Oklahoma State. Good balance on that possession. With 5 runs, 4 passes, executed by Mason Rudolph to equal the score at 7. Deron Neal waits back with one of the nation's top kick returners, Alex Ross, and they'll wait until the last moment to split. Neal wearing 5, Ross wearing 28. And Ross will have a chance at this one. but it goes off his fingertips into the end zone where he'll take a knee. And a flag down back where the ball was kicked off in the area of an offsides. It'll be a break for Oklahoma.
Offside. Number 12, kicking team. 5-yard penalty. Free kick.
And they'll have him re-kick with the 5 yards. That almost guarantees you that Ross is going to get a chance to touch it. Well, before they get those special teams units back on the field, let's take a look at our keys of the game, brought to you by Cade Jewelers.
Well, Joe, you'd think I wrote these after seeing each drive. Or excuse me, Oklahoma State, stay on the field, convert third downs, give your playmakers a chance to get the ball in their hands. James Washington, Tyreek Hill did exactly that. For Oklahoma, don't overthink it. You got the best offensive line in the country. You got a running back who's run for nearly 700 yards in the last 9 quarters. Give the young man the ball. Both of these teams sticking to that game plan, and we got ourselves a 7-7 ball game.
Well, Mike Gundy telling us this week, Joey, that a lot of what they did as far as kickoffs would depend on the win. They don't just want to concede the 35-yard line or so by pooching it down there. See what they do here. They do let Smith try to drive it deep, and it will be Ross from the 2. Ross tripped up crossing the 25, and so with that penalty, they wind up gaining about a yard, and we'll start from the 26. This Oklahoma State defense, led by Glenn Spencer, takes the field again. We talked about it off of the top. They've been so bad early in games and have found themselves in holes because of it. They give up a touchdown drive to begin. What do they do? Drive 2.
You're asking me?
Well,
I don't know. I mean, the way they looked on that last drive, you'd think that Oklahoma's just going to continue to run the football at them. They need Emmanuel Ogbah. They need James Castleman. They need Ofa Hautau, Jimmy Bean. They need him to reestablish the line of scrimmage into that Oklahoma backfield.
8th Oklahoma play is the first pass, and it's Sterling Shepard with his first offensive touch since the first play of the Iowa State game back on November 1st when he injured his groin and comes up limp again.
Yeah, exactly. He looks like he's done it again. It's so tough for a wide receiver or a DB, somebody who relies on their ability to move explosively laterally, to come back and play on a groin, hamstring, quad, some sort of leg injury at less than 100%. You hate to see a guy like Sterling Shepard, who's had such a fantastic year, struggle down the stretch like this.
Gave him 4, 2nd down and 6. And Pirine out of the short side. Good penetration this time from the Cowboy defense, with Emmanuel Ogbah getting the stop to make it 3rd down.
Well, Joe, and that's exactly what Oklahoma State has to do. They have to push the line of scrimmage into the Oklahoma backfield. This front 4 for Oklahoma State has to be the stars of the football game today. We need to hear the names James Castleman and Jimmy Bean and Emmanuel Ogbah, Ofa Hautau, if Oklahoma State is going to stop this Oklahoma running game.
There's Shepard, who came out after catching that bubble screen. And without him, Oklahoma really doesn't have a dangerous threat on the outside. First 3rd down that either team has faced today. Thomas slips a screen to Micaiah Quick, who's shut down for a loss by Larry Stevens. He lost 2, and Oklahoma will bring the punt team onto the field. Right now, it's time for a Lowe's Never Stop Improving Game Break with Greg Wolf.
All right, number 3, TCU. Last chance to impress the committee for college football's Final Four, taking on Iowa State. Trevon Boykin impressed. Passed for a career-high 460 yards, even caught a touchdown. So the Big 12 not designating a champion through a tiebreaker means TCU earns at least a share of the Big 12 title. Back to the birthday boy, Joe Davis and Joey Harrington.
Thanks, Greg, as Tyreek Hill comes up and makes a fair catch at the 40 on a 33-yard punt from Jed Barnett. And Mason Rudolph in this offense ready to take the field again. An impressive drive to score their first time out. A 7-7 game in the 109th Bedlam. Fox Sports 1 College Football is presented by Cade Jewelers. Joe Davis, Joey Harrington, Chris Budden back in Norman, Oklahoma. Each team with a touchdown drive on its first possession. Oklahoma State forcing a 3-and-out, getting it back at the 40. The true freshman Rudolph on 1st down and 10. will throw over the middle, and wide open is his tight end, Jeremy Seaton. His second reception goes for 19 into Oklahoma territory.
And Joe, Jeremy Seaton was completely uncovered. The play action by Mason Rudolph in the backfield drew up the Oklahoma linebackers to the point where Jeremy Seaton just ran right by him. Nobody around him. Great play action by Rudolph.
Started 4 of 5 here in his second start. Oklahoma crowding the box on 1st and 10. They run a jet sweep. Tyreek Hill trying to reverse field, and Charles Tapper making sure that he can't drop it in for a loss of 3. Statistically, he's not had the same year that he had last year, but solid again in his second year as a starter.
Well, yeah, Charles Tapper, first team all Big 12 last year. Like you said, statistically hasn't put up the big numbers, but he is such a key to this Oklahoma defense. Charles Tapper, Eric Stryker, Zach Sanchez, before his injury, Geno Grissom. These guys they're vets. They were the guys that you can rely on to lead a football team.
Pressure coming from the wide side on 2nd and 13. They fake to roll and then get drilled. The ball comes out, and Stephen Parker picks it up, but they blow it dead back where it popped out. So they say that Rudolph was down as Stephen Parker gets the sack and makes it 3rd and long.
Well, Joe, you're going to see Stephen Parker here down at the bottom of your screen come untouched. Hesitates for a moment on the play action, Desmond Rowland. But again, protection has been the key. That has been the issue for Oklahoma State this year. You can't allow an unblocked guy from the secondary to get on your quarterback, especially on your freshman quarterback when confidence is such an issue.
So after that impressive first drive, Oklahoma State now looking at a 3rd down and long. 3rd and 19 officially.
Joe, don't be surprised if you see Oklahoma State run some sort of draw to avoid putting the hands in their freshman quarterback in this situation.
They're going to take a closer look to make sure that ball hadn't come out before Rudolph hit the ground. We'll take a break. Be back in a moment. Well, they've said the call stands. We talked with our rules expert, Mike Pereira, during the break back in L.A., and he points out that left elbow does hit the ground first. Had they ruled it a fumble, Oklahoma would have gotten it because there is a clear recovery. But again, the call stands, and it'll be 3rd and 19. This Oklahoma State offense over the last few years has been the best in the Big 12 at protecting the quarterback, one of the best in the country. This year, one of the worst, giving up more than 3 sacks a game as they've had that revolving door up front, trying to find the right combination of offensive linemen. 3rd down 19 for the Cowboys. They fake it to Rowland, and they'll take a shot into double coverage, incomplete. Over the head of James Washington, and it's 4th down and long. Sanchez with the coverage. So both offenses, after touchdown drives to start, get shut down in their ensuing possessions.
Well, Joe, for Oklahoma State, it was 2 negative plays. The offensive line allowing the penetration on the Tyreek Hill jet sweep, and then the offensive line allowing Stephen Parker to come unblocked for the sack of Rudolph.
Kip Smith will punt it away. Oklahoma, a couple of special teams touchdowns in last year's meeting. Zach Sanchez back to make a fair catch on a punt of 37 yards. Well, it all comes down to this. The Ohio State Buckeyes, one last chance to prove they deserve that 4th spot in the college football playoff. They take on Wisconsin in a must-win situation for Ohio State if they want to get into that playoff with a Big Ten title at stake. Big Ten Championship, 7 Eastern, only on Fox and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Where do you think the Buckeyes fall into that picture?
I don't think they fall into that picture.
You don't? Okay.
I think at the start of the year, the committee says key injuries will play into our decision. Frankly, Ohio State is not the same team. I don't care how well the quarterback plays. They're not the same team without J.T. Barrett.
Drive starts from the 15. Jet sweep to Ross. Penetration again, blew up the play. And then he got stuck at the line of scrimmage by Seth Jacobs. It's checking with Chris Button.
Quick update on Sterling Shepard. He's on the sidelines without his helmet. Actually put his helmet underneath the bench at the very end. He did not meet with any trainers, but he's had this dejected look. A lot of the players coming up, giving him a pat on the back. You know, the coaches told us the problem with his groin injury is he never knows how far it can go until he starts going with full speed.
Yeah, Chris, such a finicky thing, the groin injury, and he's dealt with it for more than a month now. P. Ryan moves into the backfield. Blake Bell there as well. And Bell, the lead blocker for a P. Ryan run that gets no further than the line of scrimmage. And that front for Oklahoma State that you've talked about is the key today, getting the job done right now.
Well, you see him, Emmanuel Ogbah and James Castleman getting in and making the stop. You mentioned Blake Bell. Had Samaje Perine simply followed the lead block of his big tight end, he had a hole. Instead, tries to cut it back and runs it right into number 38, Emmanuel Ogbah.
Keith Ford checks in on 3rd down and long. Nobody in the middle of the field for Oklahoma State. Thomas back to throw. Over the middle for Keith Ford. It's a 1st down. Angled out of the backfield and picked up 15 to move the chains.
Well, it's almost as if the Oklahoma Sooners heard what you were calling nobody in the middle of the field, so they set up a perfect middle screen to the running back, Keith Ford. He had a little bit of fumble troubles against Kansas. Maybe allowed Samaje Perine to get on the field a bit more for that big game. Well, let's call it what it was, the best game in FBS history. Yeah, exactly.
The Ford was the guy that was the starter to begin the season, but then suffered that leg injury and missed 5 games. From the 32, high snap pulled down, and here is Ford getting tripped up with a backside pursuit from Seth Jacobs. Sophomore from California, won the job during fall camp, has played well for this OK State defense. Group that had 7 new starters this year. Close to 80% of last year's tackles graduated. 2nd down and 10. They fake the sweep. Thomas has Bell running free. And Blake Bell steps inside the 25. 55 yards to the senior, who's become a Bedlam legend.
Joe, everybody remembers Blake Bell as the Belldozer, the quarterback on short yardage and goal line for Oklahoma. But this unselfish senior went into offensive coordinator Josh Heupel's office in the offseason and said, I want to help this team. I can move to tight end and better serve this school. What a unselfish young man this guy is. You mentioned it. He's a Bedlam legend. Had a terrific game as the 3rd string quarterback last year, coming in and saving the ball game. What a fantastic young man. The kind of guy you'd love to have on your team.
His first catch in 4 games. Here's Perine. Not much of a hole this time. Oklahoma State's defense much better against the run these last 2 drives, after Oklahoma averaged more than 10 yards a carry on their first possession. Bell back in the game. You mentioned that drive he led him on last year to win the game. Remember 2 years ago, last time Bedlam was played here in Norman, he came in as the Belldozer with 4 seconds left on a 4th down and goal, or 4th down and 1 from the 4-yard line, and crashed in to send the game into overtime, game which they later won. Here's Ross taking the fake, and Thomas taking the ball for a short gain, and it's 3rd down. To bring this first quarter to a close, each team marched it down the field and scored on their first possession, but then the defense is stiffening up. Oklahoma on the move once again and looking at a 3rd down to begin the 2nd quarter, the 109th Bedlam. Well, during that first quarter break, Oklahoma honoring United States Navy Rear Admiral Doug McClain as the Patriot of the game. He's an OU graduate. He's a member of the OU Naval ROTC. He's assisted in raising funds to help build the USS Oklahoma Memorial that's now on Ford Island at Pearl Harbor. Toby Keith there as well, presented him with that jersey. Honorary Oklahoma guy. support of those two guys. Start of the second quarter back here in Norman in a 7-7 game. We'll begin this quarter with a big third down for the Oklahoma offense. Cody Thomas has completed all 3 of his passes so far. Oklahoma marched down the field with 7 run plays to begin for a touchdown, but Oklahoma State's defense is sharpened up over the final few minutes of that first quarter. Third down and 6. Against a 4-man rush, Ford is wide open out of the backfield. Runs through a defender to set up first and goal. Second reception for the sophomore. Moves it down to the 6. Oklahoma brings Pirine back into the game at running back. Off the left side, Jacobs was there with a penetration coming from Castleman. Second down and goal. Oklahoma in the red zone this season, 6th in the Big 12. As far as touchdown percentage, they're the best in the Big 12. Those red zone numbers can get skewed when you just look at the general scoring percentage. Talk to any offensive coordinator, they want to know what the touchdown percentage is. So for the Sooners, it's the best in the conference. Helps when you've got a punishing ground game. So they go to on a fake and throw into the end zone. Too tall for Smallwood, but a flag came out. Richards was covering Smallwood. Alan Eck to let us know.
Pass interference. Number 18, defense. The foul occurs in the end zone. Ball will be placed at the 2-yard line. First down.
Joe, Ramon Richards, a freshman who was forced into action with the injury to Ashton Lampkins, really got picked on to start the season, but has played very well over the last couple of weeks. 2 interceptions over the last 3 games. That time just got caught, his hand caught with the cookie jar right there.
Yeah. So first down and goal again. Thomas pulls it and loses a couple of yards. Back to the 5. Castleman was there with Stearns. Second and goal.
Joe, the Oklahoma State defensive line doing a nice job of reestablishing the line of scrimmage. They're pushing this O-line for Oklahoma back a yard into the backfield. That's what you have to do if you're going to disrupt a powerful running game. Force that running back to go sideways. Force him to take a sidestep so he's not hitting everything downhill. That time forced Cody Thomas to pull the ball and made the tackle for a 2-yard loss. Nice job by the D-line for Oklahoma State.
Couple of tight ends in the game. Bell lined up to the right of the formation. Flowers attached to the left. Pirine. And again, Jacobs is there to plug the hole. It's third down and goal.
Well, Joe, it looks like Oklahoma State is going to force Oklahoma to throw the football. They're not going to let Samaje Pirine get this ball into the end zone. They're going to force Cody Thomas, the redshirt freshman, making only his 3rd start. They're going to force him to throw the ball into a tight window here.
So Oklahoma drops Thomas into the shotgun. Third down and goal for the Sooners. Ford into the game at running back. Thomas well protected into that tight window. Flag comes out. First down and goal again. Bell got pulled down by Jacobs.
Pass interference. Number 10, defense. Foul occurs in the end zone. The ball will be placed at the 2-yard line. First down.
Second PI to set up first and goal on this possession.
Well, Joe, and you can't keep shooting yourself in the foot like this. Seth Jacobs just getting his left hand in there on Blake Bell. Really bails Oklahoma out because that ball was put too far out in front of him. Probably wouldn't have caught it anyway.
So back into a heavy set. Ripkowski leading the way for Pirine. Stood up at the goal line. Second effort shut down as well. Second and goal. And how about the effort from this Oklahoma State defense right now?
Well, Joe, watch Billy Leveni come in, number 95. He's going to come up and clean the pile. Great initial stop right there. Pirine keeps his feet moving. Here he comes. 95, wham! Cleans up the pile, keeps Pirine from stretching that ball out. Look, everybody on this Oklahoma State defensive line, starters, subs, they're all getting in the mix today. They're going to force Oklahoma to throw this football.
Ripkowski. And the fullback fights his way in for the score. Boy, they pounded away and pounded away, then decided to give it to the senior. His first touchdown. Oklahoma's back in front.
Joe, why not reward the senior? Aaron Ripkowski, the guy who's the lead blocker. The former state powerlifting champion. I mean, this guy is just a football player. Old school, hard-nosed, tough football player. Reward him a little bit. Give him a touchdown every once in a while.
Honeycutt adds on the extra point. Boy, it seemed like Oklahoma was inside the 5-yard line forever, taking advantage of a couple of pass interference calls. And then handing the ball to the former walk-on, the fullback from Dayton, Texas, Aaron Ripkowski, in for the touchdown, and Oklahoma back in front. Back here in Norman, it's December, so it is in the low 40s. You're calling for low 50s, but I think we'll need the sun to fight through that fog, those overcast skies, in order to heat it up. It feels how it should in early December for Bedlam. The 109th meeting between these programs, and Aaron Ripkowski, senior fullback, plunges in for the touchdown to put the Sooners back in front.
Joe, I got to say, what a great college campus this is. What a great college feel. Walking through before the game, the bells are going off, playing the fight song. Just a wonderful atmosphere here in Norman.
You said on our walk to breakfast this morning that the bells are your favorite part of a college campus.
Oh, yeah. You get the clock tower that plays the fight song. Nothing better than that.
Hodgson, who's second in the country in touchback percentage, moves Hill into the end zone and collects another. Well, it's been quite the quarterback carousel for Oklahoma State. Really the last few years. They had that stability with Brandon Weeden as the starter in 2010, 2011. Took him to the Fiesta Bowl. 2012, Wes Lunt began the season, but then wound up splitting time with Clint Chelf and J.W. Walsh. Lunt was banged up, lost his job, transferred to Illinois. Chelf started games in both 12 and 13, splitting time with J.W. Walsh, who won the job at a camp this year, but then was injured week 2. Opening the door for Dax Garman, who won his first 4, then lost his next 4. Suffered a concussion against Texas. Opening the door for Mason Rudolph, who made his first career start against Baylor 2 weeks ago. And in his second career start here in Bedlam. Starts this drive trying to take advantage of one-on-one and threw that one out of bounds, looking Brandon Shepard's way. Defended by Ahmad Thomas.
And Joe, Mason Rudolph under pressure there because Tyreek Hill simply ran by the unblocked defender. He's got to get that block in the backfield and give Mason Rudolph a chance.
They're going to get a false start. Oklahoma State was hustling with Oklahoma.
Number 60, offense, 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Oklahoma's scrambling, trying to get back to the line, and then hurrying. Went a little bit too fast. And they get flagged.
Joe, let's go back to this last play. You're going to see Tyreek Hill coming in here. And pardon me, this is the penalty on the right tackle here. Zachary Crabtree. Just a quick little movement. Even a subtle movement's a penalty.
4th one on Oklahoma State. And Crabtree, the guy that returned into that starting lineup against Baylor after missing most of the last 5 games with an ankle injury. The play clock winding down. Oklahoma State has to use a timeout.
Timeout. Oklahoma State. Their first charge of the half.
We'll take the break with them. It'll be 2nd down and 15 when you come back. Games of all time there. That was 84 when they were 2 of the top 3 teams in the country. Oklahoma with a 24-14 win in that one. With a 14-7 lead in this one. 2nd down and 15, and Rudolph off play action, showing off the arm strength, tipped and caught, and then dropped in and out of the hands of Glidden with a flag down back where the pass was delivered from. hung that one up, almost picked off.
Hands to the face, number 91, defense. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Charles Tapper gets called for an illegal hands to the face and bails Oklahoma State out.
Well, Joe, Mason Rudolph tries to drop the ball right over the top of Stephen Parker. Nearly does it, and David Glidden still almost makes the catch. But here is going to be the hands to the face. 91 just pushing his way through Michael Wilson there. That's the definition of the penalty. Hands right in his face, pushing his face mask backwards. Pretty easy one to see.
Sorry, Joey. First Sooners penalty today. And instead of 3rd down and 15, 1st down and 10 from the 35. They fake it to Rowland. And to the short side, they go for Shepard, close to a 1st down against Jordan Thomas, second leading receiver for the Cowboys, having a career year at only 15 catches over his first 2 seasons combined. That's catch number 28 here in 2014.
And, Joe, I like what Brandon Shepard did on that route. Instead of stopping, he came back towards the ball and cut off the angle of the Oklahoma defender. You know, that makes it so much easier for a quarterback knowing that your receivers are going to come back and make a play on the ball as opposed to waiting for it to get to them.
Here's Rowland with a seam. And Des Rowland runs through a defender for a 1st down to the 41. 14 yards for the senior from Dallas, who has the Oklahoma State touchdown in this game.
And, Joe, that's what's been missing from the Oklahoma State ground game this year, those explosive runs. You see him right there. Number 75, Chris Grisby, driving the defensive lineman out of the way. And Desmond Rowland, at 6'2", 210 pounds, just gets going downhill.
Fake to Glidden, go to Rowland again. Patiently waits for the hole to develop. It never does. Alexander and Tapper there to drop him for a short loss.
You know, Joe, what I like about that play is he didn't try and make too much out of it. You know, a lot of times you see a running back get stretched to the sideline and he starts dancing. He tries to find a hole, tries to be Barry Sanders. Take the loss. Now you're in 2nd and 10 instead of taking a big loss backwards and putting your team behind the chains in 2nd and 14 or 15.
Hill coming in motion. They'll swing it to him. Tyreek Hill spinning his way across the 40. Short gain. 3rd down coming up for Oklahoma State as they continue to try and find ways to get the ball into Hill's hands.
Well, they've got the opportunity this game. You know, we talked about their inability to convert on 3rd down, and Coach Gundy emphasized that in our phone call with him this week. Oklahoma State's offense needs to convert on 3rd down, to stay on the field, to get the ball into their hands of their playmakers, and they've done a fairly nice job of that to start this ball game.
Third down and 8. Pressure's picked up, so Rudolph with a chance to go deep for Shepard, and a touchdown, beating Thomas from 39 yards and an extra point from a tie game. That offensive line that struggled so much picked up the blitz.
That's right, and Mason Rudolph sat in there under the pressure. Look at this, anticipates the throw. You don't see many freshmen anticipate throws like that. They wait for their wide receiver to make the break and often throw it late. That time, Mason Rudolph puts the ball out in front of his wide receiver, Shepard, who runs under it for a touchdown. Nice job by the freshman in the pocket.
Extra point from Grogan ties the game at 14. A 6-play, 75-yard drive, and on 3rd down and 8, the freshman hitting the junior from St. Louis who beat Thomas for the score. And we're tied again in the 109th Bedlam. Fox Sports 1 College Football is presented by Cade Jewelers. And back here in Norman, a bit of a breezy day with the temperatures in the low 40s. Oklahoma State tying the game with a 6-play, 75-yard scoring drive. Shepard from Rudolph, 39 yards. His freshman's look pretty sharp once again.
Yes, he has, Joe.
Gibbs Smith this time going into the wind, chips it, and Ross bringing it back from the 14. Ross slipping free. across the 45. 33-yard return in Oklahoma. Great field position. Time for a game break. Here's Greg Wolf.
All right, let's go to the Georgia Dome. The SEC Championship, a win and you're in for #1 Alabama. 10-play, 68-yard opening drive. TJ Yeldon caps it off. The Tide lead Mizzou 7-0 in the first. Joey, back to you.
All right, Greg, and yeah, you said it. Alabama wins, and they're in the playoff without a doubt. Oklahoma trying to win their 3rd consecutive game to finish the regular season. Perhaps boost that bowl standing. They start this drive from the 45. P. Ryan with a gain of 6. This Oklahoma offense leading the Big 12 in rushing, leading the country in rushing in the month of November as we look at our Lincoln Wish List sales event stat comparison. And the Oklahoma State defense over the last 5 games giving up more than 200 a game on the ground.
Not necessarily the best way to be coming in against a running back like Samaje Perine and an offensive line like Oklahoma.
Trying to get outside here, and Ogba showing good quickness, slowing Perine up and allowing Simmons to drag him down with a flag down.
Personal foul.
So instead of a 3rd down and 6 or 7, this one moves the chains.
Well, Joe, you're going to see Ogba here just reaching in. Oh, excuse me. Number 52, Ryan Simmons, getting in on the face mask of Perine there. Ogba was one who stretched the play out to the side. At 6'4", 270 pounds, this guy is the prototypical NFL defensive end. He's strong, he's fast, and he stretched that all the way out for his linebacker to clean up. Just got a little bit of the face mask there at the end.
Keith Ford comes back in. He's been an important piece of this offense out of the backfield, catching the football so far in this game. He gets it in the ground on 1st down. Ripkowski with a block to spring him outside. Stays on his feet, close to a 1st down, and they spot him with enough on a gain of 11.
Joe, Aaron Ripkowski absolutely flat-backed the Oklahoma State defender, clearing the way for Keith Ford. Watch this. Number 48 just dropping Stevens, paving a way for Keith Ford to get in there. Aaron Ripkowski, the fullback, never gets the credit, but this guy is as big a key to this Oklahoma rushing attack as anybody.
Neal comes in motion. Looks like a trick play, and it is. K.J. Young across the 15. And once again, Ripkowski out in front with a block.
This guy is everywhere, Joe. I'm telling you, they line him up in the backfield. They put him on the line of scrimmage as a tight end. You're going to see 48 right here. Ripkowski come in up to the line of scrimmage, peel around, and gets the lead block. Out in front of K.J. Young, Aaron Ripkowski, the senior, just awarded the Don Key, the Don Key Award winner for the most inspirational Oklahoma walk-on. Has earned a scholarship, but this guy is the type of player you build a team around.
1st down from the 14, back to Perine, who powers his way inside the 10. Got 5. It'll be 2nd and 5. So Ford goes out, Perine comes in. And 50 yards on that opening drive, but Oklahoma State has quieted him since. Still, though, best 3-game stretch in Oklahoma history for a running back. Passes a guy named Billy Sims for the best 3-game stretch in OU history.
Yeah, not too bad. And that 3 games still hasn't. We haven't completed that 3rd game. You know, we're only a couple minutes into this 2nd quarter here. There's still a lot of ball game left for that record.
6th consecutive run produces a touchdown in an Oklahoma lead. Once again, back to the ground. And that offensive line and the fullback Ripkowski blowing up the hole for Perine.
When the offensive line opens holes like this, it is nearly impossible to stop Samaje Perine. It's impossible to stop Keith Ford or Alex Ross or any running back that you put in the backfield when the offensive line opens holes like that.
Good response for the Sooners after Oklahoma State went down and tied the game with a long touchdown. Perine in for his 2nd touchdown of the afternoon. Once again, Ripkowski with a big block. One of the nation's top offensive lines getting the job done again. OU back in front. 98th straight sellout here at Memorial Stadium. That corresponds with the start of the Bob Stoops era. Sooner Schooner taking the field. Many great traditions here at OU. One of college football's traditional powers, trying to cap the regular season with 3 straight wins. Pirine with his 2nd touchdown, his 7th rushing touchdown in the last 6 quarters. Tyreek Hill goes back for this kickoff for Nick Hodgson, 2nd in the country in touchback percentage. And grabs another here. Well, tonight the UFC returns to Fox Sports 1. UFC 181 prelims featuring a full slate of bouts, including 3rd-ranked Uriah Faber taking on 11th-ranked Francisco Rivera, with the action starting at 7 Eastern, only on Fox Sports 1. That streams live as well on Fox Sports Go. So Oklahoma State's offense back to the field at the 25-yard line. Went down to tie the game at 14 on a Rudolph touchdown pass to Brandon Shepard, but then Oklahoma quickly responds to retake the lead at 21-14. Roland bounces off initial contact, gets 3. Charles Walker, redshirt freshman from Garland, Texas, makes the stop, 2nd and 7. How about Mason Rudolph, first Oklahoma State true freshman quarterback to start Bedlam since 1992 when Gary Porter did it. Prior to that, Mike Gundy, his head coach, the last freshman, or true freshman at least, to start in this game. 1986 was a 19-0 loss for Mike Gundy's Cowboys. 2nd and 7. Into the short side, Washington couldn't hang on. That popped out of there by Sanchez, 3rd down. In 2001 as well, you won't see on this list, but he had Josh Fields come off of the bench and lead Oklahoma State to a win, an upset win. Cowboys come into this game a 3-touchdown underdog for the first time since that 0-1 game, which they won, with a freshman Fields leading the way at quarterback.
I remember that 0-1 game, Joe.
Yeah,
that one helped me out a little bit.
Yeah. On 3rd and 7. Heaves one out of bounds. But it's 4th down. Good coverage downfield from the Sooners that time. Tapper with the pressure on Rudolph, who had to heave it away.
Well, Joe, and a smart play by Mason Rudolph, just throwing the ball out of bounds there. Don't force it. You're only a touchdown down. Your offense has moved the ball well. Your defense has played very well against this great Oklahoma running game. Don't do anything silly there and give up momentum. Throw the ball out of bounds, punt it. Nice decision.
Kip Smith with a line drive punt to Zach Sanchez. Fair catch taken at the 36 on a punt of 36. And some shoving going on after the play. They separate and head back to the respective sidelines. Fox Sports Supports proud to team up with Boys and Girls Clubs of America. Boys and Girls Clubs help young people to reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible citizens through programs that promote character and leadership, education, healthy lifestyles, and more. For more information, visit foxsportsupports.com. So Oklahoma back to the field on offense at the 36. We set it off at the top. Cody Thomas needed to help keep Oklahoma State honest. He's a perfect 4 of 4 for 72 yards. That ground game, for the most part, getting it done once again. They start this drive on the ground with Pirine. Stop made by Larry Stevens, and a good thing for Oklahoma State that he did. There was a lot of space outside.
Well, Joe, one of the few times I've seen Pirine make the wrong move. He had Adam Shedd pulling around as a lead blocker there, and had he followed him up inside the hole, he had all sorts of room to get into the Oklahoma State secondary. Instead, which is a mistake that a lot of young freshmen make, he tried to bounce it out, make the big play. Sometimes you just got to stick your nose in there and get 4 to 5 yards when you can.
On 2nd and 7. Pirine again with a seam. Pirine bounces outside, and he'll take it inside the 25. 42 yards for Samaje Pirine, and he jumps over 100 yards in this first half.
Well, Joe, last play, Pirine didn't follow Shed. This time he does. You're going to see big 74 pulling around, just flat backing. The defender for Oklahoma State opening up a huge hole for Pirine to get through into the secondary. Follow your big boys. They're going to take you to the promised land. Good job by Pirine sitting in behind the block and then exploding for the huge play down the field.
He gets a break, Ford back in. And off play action, Bell with a one-handed catch. First down and goal, Oklahoma.
Wow. This young man can do everything, and how great is it to see him having this type of success in the Bedlam game in his final senior year.
Ripkowski, the lead blocker for Ford, who slipped and fell inside the 5. Ramon Richards there to make sure he got no further. Second and goal.
Joe, we were talking about it before the game. Blake Bell, for me, has kind of a Tim Tebow feel in that he's been the face of this Oklahoma Sooners team for a few years now. He was the cult follower. You know, you knew the Belldozer when he came in the short yardage. He's had a great career as a quarterback, 12 touchdowns passing, 24 rushing, but he does everything, asking him to move to tight end. You know, Oklahoma is going to miss him when he graduates this year.
Pirine into the arms of Castleman. And third down and goal coming up. Oklahoma State again, once backed into its own 5. Doing a nice job of standing tall. Now let's see what they do on third and goal, because the last time the Sooners got down here, they drew a couple of pass interference calls.
Well, yeah, you give Oklahoma enough chances, they're going to pound it into the end zone. But credit Oklahoma State's defensive line. They have done a nice job of just bowing their necks and making a pile there down at the goal line.
Out of the I formation on third and goal. They fake to Pirine. Ripkowski's out there. Making a move. Fighting forward. Still fighting. In. Touchdown. His second of the day.
Day for Aaron Ripkowski. Earlier with the touchdown rush, now with the touchdown catch. Oh, tuck that ball away, young man. But the senior having a fantastic day in his final Bedlam game. All the seniors getting involved. Blake Bell, Aaron Ripkowski. You love to see that if you're a Sooner fan.
I remember when Ripkowski went out against Kansas State because of a targeting penalty on a blindside block in the second half of that game. Oklahoma's offense stalled inside the 5. They didn't have him in there as the lead blocker, so they had to bring Honeycutt on for a short field goal, which he missed. Oklahoma lost that game. The staff pointed to the loss of Ripkowski in that second half as a big part of the reason. 2 touchdowns in the Bedlam game for the senior and a 2-touchdown lead.
Coming up at halftime, see how TCU sought to lock down a playoff spot. We'll look at the Big Ten championship. Does Ohio State have an answer from Melvin Gordon? And one of the worst teams in college football history sneaks out a win. We'll tell you who. Joey, see you at the break.
Okay, Rob, Joey, any guesses?
13-game losing streak. Has SMU won a game this year?
Well, are they going to make a bowl? Because you told me they were going to after we saw them week 1 get routed by Baylor, and Joey, being ever optimistic, said they're going to be a bowl team.
I love June Jones, all right?
Out of the back of the end zone. So touchback will start the drive at the 25-yard line. Now, we were prepared to talk plenty about Aaron Ripkowski as a blocker today after he won the Don Key Award for the most inspirational senior. But not just the blocking, he's gotten it done, putting some points on the board as well.
Yeah, you'd love to see guys who play such key roles in a team's success, but don't get the credit. Fullbacks never get the credit for the work that they do. They're like a 6th offensive lineman, and to give them a touchdown rush and a touchdown catch in the same day, You got to feel good for that young man.
Rudolph starts this critical drive with a throw against a cushion outside to Tyreek Hill, and they'll take a 10-yard gain on first down with the helmet getting ripped off. That means Tyreek Hill will have to come out of the game because there is no penalty, so he'll have to come out for one play. They spot him just shy of the first down marker, 2nd and 1. Cowboys would love to cut it back to one score. They'll have the ball to begin the second half. Rolling into the teeth of the defense to get a first down. Here's a seam for Roland, but a flag down. He had a first down run, but a flag back at the line of scrimmage.
Hold it. Number 60. 10-yard penalty.
And Mike, the ref on the mic on the ref's killing me today. Reverberation, jeez.
Joan, you're going to see him right at the end. Number 60, Zachary Crabtree. You saw him just reach out and grab the foot.
Chuka and
Dulaway, yeah. Too bad, too, because Desmond Rowland made a nice cut to get upfield for a big gain.
Yeah, instead of a first down near midfield, it's first down and 20 back at the 26. They try to get a chunk of it back, and they do. Recovering the yards lost on the penalty. Rowland takes the ball to the 36. Devontae Bond makes the tackle, 2nd and 10.
Joe, I talked about Desmond Rowland's running style earlier when he didn't take a big loss. The last 2 plays, he simply puts his foot down and goes forward. I mean, you got to love that from a running back. He doesn't try and make the big hitter every time. He's the kind of guy who you can rely on for 3, 4, 5, 6 every time he carries the ball.
Washington, one-on-one. The defense rallies. Sanchez does a nice job to hold his ground. For the other Crimson shirts to rally around the ball. Got a few. 3rd down coming up for Oklahoma State with 1:12 left.
And Joe, and that's kind of what I'm talking about right there. Sometimes you just got to put your head down and go forward. James Washington outside dances around, taps his feet, tries to find a hole for a big play. If he'd have put his head down and just run forward, he would have gotten 6 or 7 yards. Instead, he only gets 4, and now Oklahoma State is in 3rd and long.
Are you surprised that Oklahoma State took a timeout here?
No, I'm not.
Okay, showing confidence.
I do, yeah. I mean, I like the way that Mason Rudolph has been throwing the football. He's 10 of 15. He's thrown for 138 yards and a touchdown so far. Get the right call, because even if you don't get the first down, you're at the 40-yard line, and a good punt backs up Oklahoma. So I like the call to make, I like the call of the timeout to give yourself a chance to score before halftime.
And it's not like the Sooners have been quick strike. They've been bludgeoning away, moving the ball on the ground. Although they would have and do have all 3 timeouts remaining. Good first half for Rudolph. 10 of 15 for 138 yards and a touchdown. No interceptions. Opposite styles in this game. Oklahoma State getting it done through the air. Oklahoma running the football with success. 3rd down and 6 for Oklahoma State. Glidden clapping his hands in the slot. Wants the football. Rudolph looks his way. Time to scan the field. Making a move. And Tapper's there to bring him down at the line of scrimmage. It's 4th down.
Joe, great coverage by the Oklahoma secondary. Today, Oklahoma is starting 2 sophomores and 2 true freshmen. They did a wonderful job covering the Oklahoma State wide receivers and forcing the coverage sack of Mason Rudolph. 'Cause 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 'cause
Fox Sports 1 College Football is presented by Cade Jewelers. This has been an entertaining first half. Oklahoma back-to-back touchdowns after Oklahoma State had tied the game at 14. See if Oklahoma brings pressure here to try and get to this punt from Kip Smith. They back off and set up the return on a good high punt. They back Sanchez to the 15 with a fair catch. Well, it all comes down to this. Ohio State tonight taking on Wisconsin in the Big Ten Championship. Does a win put them into the playoff? At 7 o'clock Eastern on Fox, streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Cardale Jones making the start at quarterback for the Buckeyes against Melvin Gordon in that Wisconsin running game and a stout defense for the Badgers. One heck of a matchup in Indy tonight with Gus Johnson, Charles Davis, Molly McGrath on the call.
Joe, everybody in the country watching to see how Cardale Jones does for Ohio State. I mean, that could be the difference between them getting into the playoff. Is his performance and the committee's belief in him at quarterback.
P. Ryan on first down gets a couple. And again, Oklahoma has 2 timeouts. Looks like they may be content with this 2-touchdown lead. P. Ryan, another big half, 18 carries. 18 first-half carries for Samaje P. Ryan, and he's gone for 123 in 2 scores.
Joe, 640 yards over the last 2 games. I mean, the 427 was incredible enough, but he went for over 200 in the game before that. I mean, he is on pace to have an incredible 3-game stretch.
Try to get outside here. Richards was there with Phillips to make sure that he couldn't. The clock ticking down, and these teams content with this 28-14 score. They'll let the clock run out on the first half of this Bedlam game. Back-to-back touchdowns for the Sooners to break a 14-14 tie. 28-14 Oklahoma. Now we send it to Rob Stone in Los Angeles.
Joey, thank you.
Disorder, chaos, a state of uproar. For over a century, this game has divided the homes of Oklahoma. Welcome to Bedlam.
Fox Sports 1 College Football is presented by Cade Jewelers. Barry Allen, not just a stat man, but a voiceover artist. Beautiful sounds of Barry Allen bringing us back from halftime. Bringing us back inside the broadcast booth. Joe Davis, Joey Harrington. The MO for this Oklahoma team the last couple of weeks as Trevor Knight has gone down has been running the football and no different through a half today.
Well, yeah, Samaje Perine has been his incredible self in this first half. I mean, think about this. He needs only 108 yards to break Ricky Williams' FBS 2-game record of 662 yards, and he needs only 170 yards in this second half to break Barry Sanders' 3-game record, and he's not doing it on his own. He's doing it with Ripkowski in front of him. He's doing it with the offensive line in front of him. Everybody is getting involved in this Oklahoma running game.
36 plays for the Sooners, 30 of them were run plays. Meanwhile, Oklahoma State staying in the game behind their true freshman quarterback Mason Rudolph, who passed for 179 or 138 yards in that first half. There is P. Ryan. Here comes the Oklahoma kickoff team as Oklahoma State deferred to the second half. And you don't want to call it a must-score drive. You don't want to put them away this early in the game, but this is a real important drive for the Cowboys to begin the second half.
Well, this is a big drive for momentum, and it's a big drive for the confidence of Mason Rudolph. I mean, he's played so well in this first half that you forget that this guy's a true freshman. I mean, this is only the second start of his career, and he's 10 of 15 for 138 yards and a touchdown. But this drive can establish your confidence going forward in the second half.
Hodgson kicking with the wind. Gets a hold of this one as well, and Tyreek Hill frustratedly watches it bounce out of the back of the end zone. check in with Chris Budden.
Well, Joey, you talked about Mason Rudolph, and I talked to Coach Gundy about what he thought of his first half performance. He said he was pretty pleased. He did have some missed throws, but for the most part, he's happy with the way that his freshman has been managing the offense. He said on defense, the key to this second half is they can't miss tackles. He said coming into the game, we were really worried about this Oklahoma power run. They put up 180 yards on the ground. He said we can't miss tackles, can't give them any more opportunities with the penalties.
Great stuff, Chris. Second half begins from the 25 in the fog here in Norman. And a jet sweep play to Tyreek Hill. Oklahoma was ready. Eric Stryker drops in for no gain.
Joe, we haven't heard the name Eric Stryker very much today. Everybody's been getting involved for Oklahoma, but Eric Stryker, the mid-season All-American, the guy leads the team in tackles for loss and sacks. He's kind of that tweener in the NFL. He's a great outside linebacker in college. He's got the speed to be a good rush end, but we're going to have to wait and see what he does. He's a junior. Many are talking about him leaving early for the NFL draft next year.
Only one senior starter on this Oklahoma defense today. Second and 10. They fake to Rolling, throw the slant, pulled in by Shepard, who makes a move and gets to the 49. Brandon Shepard had a 39-yard touchdown catch in the first half. He's got 25 here.
Joe, I cannot tell you how impressed I am with Mason Rudolph. You're going to see the route by Shepard here coming in. What you didn't see was the anticipation and the release of Mason Rudolph. That ball was gone so that when Brandon Shepard made his break, 2 steps out of it, the ball hits him right in the face mask. Great job by the quarterback Rudolph getting it out on time, and a great setup on the route by Brandon Shepard.
Spot the ball right at midfield. They go to Rolling. Minimal gain. Jordan Phillips, 6'6", 335 pounds at that defensive tackle spot. Plugged it up, second down.
Yeah, Joe, Jordan Phillips is a handful. I mean, you think of nose guards, you think of him at 6'2", 320. You don't ever see him 6'6". I mean, this guy is massive. Some of the great NFL nose guards, Pat Williams, you know, these guys are big loads, but none of them are as tall as 6'6".
Opening drive of the second half for Oklahoma State. Sooners show pressure. Rudolph to throw. Taking a shot. Wants Glidden. Drops it in, but I think he lost it in the lights. Perfectly thrown and a missed opportunity for the Cowboys.
And I am in shock, Joe. That is not a ball that David Glidden misses. Coach Gundy called him, he is the catch-everything guy. And this ball, it hits him in the chest. I mean, I think you hit it right. You said it right. He must have just lost it in the lights because that goes right between the 1 and the 3. Wow, that's a missed opportunity for Oklahoma State.
I bet she's going to take that visor off when he gets to the sideline. That can provide some glares at this time of day, especially with the fog. Third down and 9. Play clock winding down. They didn't get it off.
Delay game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
And Chris mentioned it. Coach Gundy spoke about it at halftime. Penalties hurting Oklahoma State. Now 8 of them for 50 yards today on a third down and 14. Four-man twist picked up. Rudolph trying to buy time. Stays on his feet, will take off across midfield. Excellent athleticism from the former high school tight end, who is 6'4", 215 as a load, but they'll have to punt.
Joe, we saw it at the end of the first half there. The coverage by the Oklahoma secondary, it gives Mason Rudolph nowhere to go with the football. Zach Sanchez, Ahmad Thomas, Stephen Parker, Jordan Thomas, young freshmen and sophomores playing in the secondary, did a very nice job in coverage. Didn't give Rudolph anywhere to throw the football.
Safe punt return put on by Oklahoma. Sanchez back signaling for a fair catch. Not a very good punt. Taken to the 15, just 31 yards. Oklahoma's offense back to the field with a freshman, Optimus Pirine, who's already got 127 yards, ready to take the field in just a moment. We'll We'll check in on a penalty flag before we step aside here. Alan Eck.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 15, receiving team. Half the distance to the goal, first down. That's number 15's first unsportsmanlike foul. Timeout.
And if he were to get a second unsportsmanlike conduct, he'd be ejected from the game. Sanchez tossing the ball to an opponent. Yeah, probably shouldn't do that. Well, almost half his rushing total for the season has come over the last 3 games that included the best game in FBS history, running for 427 in his last game and putting together a season along the likes of these former freshman running backs. A list of who's who that have had monster seasons. Rondane, my goodness, he looks like an O-lineman. Adrian Peterson, of course, in 2004. Samaje Perine 10 years later. They've made comparisons between the two as far as their physical abilities coming in the weight room and the way they've impressed during workouts. And Perine starts his drive in the backfield. 1st and 10 from the 8. They get the call. Great pace. Wait for that hole to develop, but Jimmy Bean grabbed the hold of him. And he couldn't get away. 2nd down.
Well, Joe, you said it. Great pace and great work ethic for Samaje Perine. Coach Bob Stoops told us when the older guys and the strength coach are talking about you when you're a freshman during summer workouts, you know you got a chance to be great. And that's exactly what was happening prior to this season. Is the older guys, the strength coaches, were noticing Perine in his workout and said, hey, coach, this guy's got a chance.
And when he showed up on campus, Charles Tapper said he thought he was somebody's dad. Bubble screen to Jordan Smallwood. Popped out of bounds with a 1st down past the 20. Only the 3rd catch of the season for the redshirt freshman from Jenks, Oklahoma, who Jay Norvell told us had a chance to play a role today.
Well, yeah, someone's got to play the role of the receiver position vacated by Sterling Shepard. I mean, the majority of the balls had gone to Shepard all year, and for good reason. I mean, the guy was an All-American. I mean, he was on pace to have a Bolitnikoff Award type of season. His injury against Iowa State has opened up a hole for a lot of these young guys to take advantage of.
Here's Perine. Castleman ran him down. Simmons finished him off. Ryan Simmons, one of 3 players on this defense, making their 25th consecutive start today, along with the 2 guys you mentioned would be so important in James Castleman and Jimmy Bean. In Oklahoma, there have been phases where they've had their way in the ground, but there have also been some stretches where this defense has been really tough. 2nd down, 11. Thomas will throw it for 4. A couple of blockers in front. Good job of the defense to fight through. Ford picks up about 7 and makes it 3rd down. And about 5 coming up. Oklahoma State trying to slam the door here and take advantage of this field position. Down 2 scores. Be tough for this offense of Oklahoma State to recover from a deficit much bigger than this. On 3rd and 4. It's Ford, and he will break out of a tackle to get a 1st down. They had him drop for a loss, but Stevens couldn't hang on, and he converts on 3rd and 4.
And, Joe, that is a huge 3rd down conversion. You said it. They had him pinned up in the backfield.
Injury timeout.
James Castleman has his hands on him, can't bring down Keith Ford. And Oklahoma moves the chains, keeping the ball in their hands, and more importantly, keeping the ball out of the hands of Mason Rudolph in this Oklahoma State offense that showed some promise on that 1st drive of the 2nd half.
Adam Shedd, the left guard, 4-year starter, getting looked at. We'll take a break. Fox Sports 1 College Football is presented by Kay Jewelers. Left guard Adam Shedd injured on that last play.
Joe, you never like to see this, especially for a senior playing his last Bedlam game. Turn your eyes if you don't.
Too late.
If you're squeamish, yeah. You feel bad for a guy like that, but co-offensive coordinator Jay Norvell told us our O-line is strong, they're physical, and we have depth. Deontay Savage, Neela Kasatati both play guard, so don't be surprised to see one of them come over and take his position.
Ford trying to get outside. Got two. Seth Jacobs was there for the stop. Yeah, this offensive line for Oklahoma, 4 seniors and a junior in the starting lineup normally. They average more than 320 pounds per man. That's the second biggest offensive line in the country.
Well, and that's including Ty Darlington at center, who only comes in at 286.
Yeah, he brings him down.
336, 339, 343, and 329 are the weights of the 4 offensive linemen outside of Darlington. I mean, these guys are massive.
Thomas perfect through the air so far. This one's broken up. Richards with a solid coverage against Smallwood, and it's 3rd down. Once again, a big 3rd down for the Oklahoma State D.
Well, Joe, Ramon Richard, we mentioned him earlier because of the pass interference in the end zone, but he has gotten so much better over the last couple games. Teams picked on him, going away from Kevin Peterson. Ramon Richards had to play because of the injury to Ashton Lampkin, and frankly, when you're a true freshman playing corner, you're going to give up some big plays, but this young man has grown over the last 3 games of the season.
Satellite defense, all 11 men standing for Oklahoma State, trying to confuse the freshman Thomas. Play clock down to 1, and they've got to burn a timeout.
Timeout. Oklahoma. Their first target has 30 seconds to mark.
So talk about this in the Big Ten Championship on Fox tonight, 7 Eastern, between Wisconsin and Ohio State, which will try and play its way into the playoff. TCU took care of business today, routing Iowa State. Baylor will play later tonight. Of course, Florida State later tonight as well, as this final weekend of the regular season shakes out. 7 Eastern on Fox, the Big Ten Championship. Speaking of Melvin Gordon, time now for our Nissan Heisman Watch. He's part of it, but I think we've pretty much got it figured out now, don't we?
Yeah, I think the game last night in the Pac-12 championship, 5 touchdowns for Marcus Mariota. Hey, Melvin Gordon has had a phenomenal season. Broke the FBS rushing record himself a week before Samaje Perine then broke his at 408. But this award is all but Marcus Mariota's.
Big 3rd down coming here. Thomas, a straight drop with 8 in coverage. Underneath, Perine breaks a tackle. 1st down. Once again, they had him stop short and couldn't pull him down.
Well, Joe, great job by Cody Thomas, seeing that nothing is open down the field and checking the ball to Samaje Perine. But there it is, the legs, the strength of Perine to break the tackle and get the 1st down. This guy has everything. Coach Stoops told us he's got great pace when he gets the ball. He's got great vision. He's explosive to get around the edge, make those big runs, and he's got the leg strength to break tackles. This guy is a special player.
Missed tackles have been an issue all season for Oklahoma State. Huge issue on this drive. Broken tackles on back-to-back 3rd downs. Perine exploding through the hole. 6 on 1st down. Justin Phillips playing his best game, has his 9th tackle. 2nd and 4. This drive started back inside the Oklahoma 10-yard line. Converted a pair of 3rd downs and marched it into Oklahoma State territory. Perine again. A yard short. And once again, 3rd down coming up. Converted their last 5 3rd down chances. 11th play of this drive coming here, grinding that clock with a 2-touchdown lead. Rutkowski, the fullback, leading the way for a Perine 1st down. Keeps on going to the 36. Let's go down to Chris Budden for an injury update.
Yeah, some news on Adam Shedd. He's on the table right now getting ice wrapped on that right knee. They were looking at it. He's yet to put any pressure on it. Also worth noting, Oklahoma does not release injury information, but Sterling Shepard's on the sidelines, not in uniform with warm-ups on.
Yeah, about all the information we need to know what the rest of his day will hold. You hate to see that for a great kid, junior, who has been out for the most part for the last month with that groin injury. Pirine again. They continue to batter away at that defensive line and starting to open holes once again.
Well, and that's what a great offensive line does, is over the course of the game, they simply wear you down. You keep banging on the door, you keep banging on the door, and eventually it falls down, and this offensive line is opening up massive holes for Samaje Perine.
48 plays run by Oklahoma today. 38 of them have been on the ground, and 25 of them have been to Samaje Perine. There's a fake to him and a throw to the outside over the head of Bell. Well, why not take that shot with 2nd down and short? 3rd down and 1 now.
Well, I actually like the play by Cody Thomas. Like you said, 2nd and short, take a shot. A great time to try and draw a defense up and hit it over the top. Blake Bell had double coverage. Cody Thomas, he didn't even risk it at all. He threw that into the 2nd row of the stands. I like the decision.
Trying to convert their 7th consecutive 3rd down. Play clock down to 5. Perine, 1st down, but then stepped back and made it close. The ball came out. Joint possession at the 29. They say Oklahoma State's got it. Their first fumble recovery of the season. Larry Stevens recovered it, and Perine is hurt.
Oklahoma State, injury timeout.
Oklahoma State entered the game the only team in America without a fumble recovery. If this holds, they'll have their first. It was punched out. They take a look at Perine, and they'll take a look at the fumble as well. Samaje Perine helped off of the field. We'll do our best to figure out what we can. For now, let's talk to Mike Pereira, our rules expert. Looks like that fumble's going to stand, Mike.
Yeah, it is. And they did not rule forward progress, and I think it is. I mean, contact's at the 27-yard line. They drive him back, maintain contact. He's hit again here, and the ball comes loose. But they didn't rule it on the field, and replay cannot put forward progress on. So it will stay as a fumble, and Oklahoma State with the recovery. And
their first of the year, Mike Pereira. They were the only team in the country without a fumble recovery. Play action off of the fake. They get it outside to Jeremy Seaton. The tight end carries it across the 35, stopped by Jordan Evans. Oklahoma State with a chance to take the momentum back with their first fumble recovery of the year. This normally is a program that's among the best in the country in getting takeaways, but one of the worst overall this season. Not just not getting the fumble recoveries, they haven't got many picks either. 2nd down and 3. Rudolph pumps, looking wide side, throwing into double coverage, tipped and incomplete. Wanted Glidden, and Stephen Parker broke it up. 3rd down.
Joe, I like the shot that Mason Rudolph took down the field. 2nd and short. We saw it to Blake Bell earlier with Cody Thomas. You know you're going to come back with 3rd and short, so take a shot down the field on 2nd down. Just gets his hands up at the last minute to Stephen Parker to knock that ball away. Otherwise, David Glidden is right there to make a big catch.
And a big 3rd down as a result. 3rd down and 3 for an offense that is just 1 for 5 on 3rd down tonight. They'll swing it outside to Hill, who uses his speed to turn the corner for a 1st down. Chopped down by Jordan Thomas and needed every bit of that world-class speed to get a 1st down.
Well, Joe, great job by Jeremy Seaton and Desmond Rowland getting out. You're going to see both of them right here, getting out in front of Tyreek Hill and providing great blocks on the edge. Allows him to turn the corner and use that speed. You got to rely on your teammates sometimes. Great blocks by Seaton and Rowland.
1st down from the 41. Sooners bring pressure. Rudolph throws into it, but too far out in front of Washington with Thomas back in coverage. Second down. Secondary for the Sooners with 2 true freshmen, 2 sophomore starters today. Statistically, the worst pass defense in program history, giving up more than 270 yards through the air per game. Fake to rolling down the seam, back shoulder for Seaton, who breaks a tackle across the 35, but a flag down back at the line of scrimmage. Oklahoma State continues to shoot itself in the foot.
Ineligible receiver downfield. Number 44, offense. The tight end was covered up by the wide receiver in the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty. It's second down.
Joe, here's what they're talking about. Number 44, Seaton, is covered on the outside. The receiver needs to be at least a step back. Because he's on the line of scrimmage, Seaton is ineligible to get downfield and catch the pass. That's the right call.
Seems like so many times today the Cowboys have had a big play wiped away by a penalty. 8 penalties total now. Rudolph throwing the dig, too tall for Washington with the coverage from Sanchez. Third down.
Boy, I know that part of this is the situation that you've been put in, but Coach Mike Gundy is showing a lot of confidence in Mason Rudolph, a true freshman on the road, making only his second start. They've come out this second half and been firing the football down the field. He's done a really nice job. 13 of 22, 170 yards and a touchdown so far, but showing a lot of confidence in his young quarterback, Mike Gundy.
We're close to an impossible situation for a quarterback of any age here. Third down, 15. Get it outside to Hill. It's a couple of blocks, but then a nice job by Sanchez to shed his. Stephen Parker there as well, and Oklahoma State's punt team will come out. Cowboys unable to take advantage of that fumble recovery.
And you hate to say it was a must-score drive this early in the ball game, but with the way Oklahoma has been running the football, converting third down after third down, I just don't see too many other possessions. I mean, you're not going to have a whole lot of opportunities to score the football. That was one you needed to take advantage of.
Just saw Pirine getting that ankle iced. Doesn't look like he'll come back anytime soon. This is another poor punt off of the foot of Kip Smith. Fielded at the 35. That's where Oklahoma will take over with a 2-touchdown lead in the 109th Bedlam. Back in Norman, where Oklahoma's got a 28-14 lead late in the third quarter in this 109th meeting between Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. Rivalry got its name from an Oklahoma State sports writer who was covering a wrestling duel between Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. Checking with Chris Budden.
Samaje Perine just had some ice put on that left ankle. When he was talking to the medical staff, he was pointing out his ankle all the way up his shin, and when they would put pressure on it, he would wince in pain. Has had his hands on his face and in his head, and the coach has been coming up trying to give him support, trying to give him a hug. You can tell he's emotional and in a lot of pain.
Hate to see that as Thomas puts this one on the ground, and it's a loss of 10 to start this drive. But man, just crushing to see Samaje Perine not just go down hurt, but see the emotion on the sideline after.
Well, really, one of the few bright spots this year for Oklahoma. I mean, Trevor Knight goes down, Sterling Shepard goes down, Adam Shedd goes down today. An Oklahoma team with a lot of promise to start the year, lost a couple games early, knocked him out. Samaje Perine, was the bright spot, and you hate to see him go down with an injury like that.
Right now, Ford is in the game at running back. On 2nd and 20, Thomas scrambling away from Ogbo with room to run. Leading the country among quarterbacks with enough rushing attempts to qualify, averaging 10 yards per carry, and he gets just that there. Third down and 10. And coming into the game was completing just 41%. That was third worst. 9 of 11 through the air today. Third down and 10. For this OK State defense get off of the field. low for Neal. And the Sooners will bring the punt team out. They're a different team without Pirine in the game.
Well, the first fumble put him behind the chains. But, yeah, you're right. Samaje Pirine is a special running back. They do have the offensive line to still open up the holes. And remember, Keith Ford was the starter coming into the season. Played the first couple games, got injured, opened the door for Pirine to step in.
Just different, though.
They're different. Yeah. They are different.
Low snap picked up. Good high punt. Hill with a fair catch at the 24. Barnett does a nice job of shifting the field with a punt of 45 yards. Pirine walking towards the locker room, likely for further testing. With Oklahoma in front, 28-14. Pirine got him in the end zone on the opening drive. And another touchdown run for the freshman, but Oklahoma State answered. Mason Rudolph has been sharp today. Touchdown pass to Shepard, tied the game at 14, but Oklahoma back-to-back touchdowns. Aaron Ripkowski with a pair, the fullback, helping put Oklahoma in front, 28-14. Desmond Roland on first down for 2. Now, what's it going to take for this Oklahoma State offense to add some points on the board?
You got to stop shooting themselves in the foot. I mean, they were moving the ball in their last drive, and the ineligible man downfield took away a huge pass play to Jeremy Seaton up the seam. I mean, those little mistakes are what have cost Oklahoma State today. The pass interference in the end zones. 2 of them kept the Oklahoma drive alive, gave them 7 points. That time, on the last drive, they're moving the ball. Again, another penalty brings them back behind the chains.
8 penalties today on the Cowboys. Pressure coming from the near side. Rudolph throws the other way. Incomplete. Had it been on Washington, he could have run for days.
Oh, and he still would have been running, Joe. Oklahoma brought pressure, and you saw it get to Mason Rudolph in the backfield. He had to slide over, but what it did it vacated a giant hole in the middle of the defense. James Washington simply needs to keep running.
Yeah, that's not a bad throw.
No, it wasn't. He just slowed his motor down a little bit. Maybe expected somebody to be there, but keep running, put your hands out, catch the football, and you're in the end zone for 6.
Instead, 3rd down and 8. Rudolph, nice scramble. Throws it wildly incomplete, dangerously towards Washington. And a 3-and-out for an Oklahoma State team that entered the game with 49 3-and-outs on the season, 4th most in the country.
Well, Joe, and this has been the problem for Oklahoma State all year, is the offensive line has not been able to provide adequate protection for their quarterback. It doesn't matter if Dax Garman or J.W. Walsh or Mason Rudolph is in there. When you're not protecting your quarterback, he doesn't have a chance to throw the ball down the field.
Kip Smith only averaging 35 yards per punt. This one not very strong either. 29-yard punt from Smith. Time now for a Lowe's Never Stop Improving Game Break with Greg Wolf.
Guys, back at the Georgia Dome, #1 Alabama is 2 quarters away from the college football playoff. TJ Yeldon, his 36th career rushing touchdown. That's 3rd on the Tide's all-time list. Bama leads Missouri 21-3 at the half. Joey, back to you.
All right, Greg, so there's all this commotion leading up to this weekend. So far, things sorting themselves out.
Kind of.
Yeah, a little bit. Big Ten tonight on Fox.
I mean, you're still, with TCU's win, you're still going to have that debate. Should Baylor beat Kansas State? I mean, that's the assumption that we're making. If Kansas State beats Baylor, you don't have a debate.
Yeah. From the 45, a flag down. They were going play action. Wanted to take a shot. Been sloppy for Oklahoma in this 3rd quarter.
Ball start. Number 48, offense, 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
So Oregon with that impressive win last night, rolling Arizona in the Pac-12 title game. TCU taking care of business today. Baylor with that big one against K-State. You just can't help but say that Baylor should be in if they win that game with a head-to-head against TCU.
Look, I completely agree. Baylor and TCU will have played the same 9 conference teams. They'll have played the same opponent in SMU out of conference. They'll have both played an FCS team. The only difference is that TCU played Minnesota, Baylor played Buffalo, and Baylor beat TCU head-to-head. It does not make sense in my mind if Baylor beats Kansas State tonight, to keep them below TCU. That makes no sense to me.
No gain for Keith Ford, 2nd and 15. It'll be interesting to see. And I think no matter how many teams are involved in the postseason, you're going to have arguments, right? When it was a BCS, you argued about who number 2 should be. Now we argue who number 4 should be. You expand it to 8, you're going to argue about who 8 should be. Love it, though. It's fun.
You love it.
2nd and 15, Thomas. One-on-one, back shoulder for Young, but incomplete. And 3rd down and 15. This Oklahoma State defense doing its part.
They really are. They put Oklahoma in another 3rd and long situation. And frankly, Joe, I didn't think it would have this much of an effect, losing Samaje Perine. You know, Keith Ford and Alex Ross are very good running backs, and the offensive line has done a good job of opening the holes. But the 2 drives without him, they've been set behind the chains right from the start.
Only 62 third-quarter yards. Thomas against a 4-man rush, feels the pressure and steps away. Pumps, cuts, goes down. Got a yard. Ryan Simmons makes sure that he doesn't get any more. That should be the end of this 3rd quarter. Glenn Spencer proud of the way his defense has played today, especially in this 3rd quarter. Keeping the Cowboys in the game.
Into the 3rd quarter.
It'll be an Oklahoma punt to start the 4th. Sooners lead by 14, trying to win their 3rd straight to cap this season. Oklahoma State trying to get a big comeback to snap that 5-game skid. Fox Sports 1 College Football is presented by Cade Jewelers back here in Norman. 98th consecutive sellout, Memorial Stadium, and ready for the 4th quarter. This Bedlam game, 28-14, Oklahoma in front. Joe Davis, Joey Harrington, Chris Budden here in Norman. Mike Pereira back in LA helping us out with the rules today. And only the 3rd Oklahoma punt will come from Jed Barnett with a dangerous Tyreek Hill waiting back. A line drive should give him a chance. Hill retreating at his 15. They hem him in and drop him at the 21. The Oklahoma State offense, which scored on its first drive, impressive for a good chunk of the first half, has been shut down lately.
Well, Joe, you said it to me just a second ago. Oklahoma State had 2 touchdowns that they didn't take advantage of in that 3rd quarter. The pass up the sideline to Glidden, and then the slant to Washington. Neither of those balls were caught. Oklahoma State has to take advantage of the opportunities they have. I mean, they're giving this game to Oklahoma right now.
Bottom line, make a play, and you're not down 2 touchdowns. The freshman calmly throws outside. And a first down gain of 8 for Brandon Shepard against Jordan Thomas. Rudolph in his 2nd start. Efficient once again, hasn't turned the ball over. 14 of 25 through the air for 173. The true freshman out of Rock Hill, South Carolina. Fake to Roland. Glidden open over the middle. He makes a play for a first down to the 49. Great anticipation from the freshman Rudolph.
Joe, what a nice job by Rudolph, waiting for Glidden to get to the 2nd window, and then just like you said, he anticipated it. The linebacker for Oklahoma is going to settle right under that 1st window, so he waits for him to get in. Releases the ball before he gets to the 2nd defender, Dominic Alexander. Nice job by Mason Rudolph getting the ball right where David Glidden needed it.
From the 48 now with a first down and 10. Blitz coming from the near side. Rudolph throws the bubble into it. My goodness. Glidden gets lit up by Sanchez. A clean hit.
It was.
Glidden getting helped off. Injury timeout. We'll take a break. Fox Sports 1 College Football is presented by K Jewelers. And Zach Sanchez with that monster hit on David Glidden. Mike Pereira telling us during the break, our rules expert back in LA, that this hit right here, textbook, and will be on the video that they pass out to the teams and the officials prior to the season to say this is how you make a hard hit.
Well, yeah, people were wondering, well, how do you hit somebody if you can't use the top of your helmet and you can't hit somebody high in the head? Well, this is exactly what you do. You drop your shoulder into their chest. And young men, if you want to know how to make a perfect form tackle, that's it right there. Zach Sanchez dropping the hammer on David Glidden.
There to stop the game for Glidden. That's why he's got to come out. 2nd down and 10 for Oklahoma State. Tyreek Hill in the backfield. He'll take it, penetration, but he breaks through. And Hill with a speed explodes inside the 30. It's a run of 32 yards, got tripped up at the last moment to save the touchdown.
Joe, this young man is electric. Tyreek Hill, if you give him any space at all, he will make you pay. Just a shoelace away from breaking that for a touchdown. This is the momentum that Oklahoma State needs. They need a score right here. They need a touchdown to get back into this ball game.
1st down from the 26. Rudolph looking backside and has a completion down to the 10. 1st down. Once again, it's Shepard working against Thomas.
Joe, and I'm really surprised. They are leaving single coverage outside on the wide receivers is Oklahoma. They're daring Mason Rudolph to throw this football, and frankly, I think he's shown the ability to do so. 16 for 28 for 200 yards and a touchdown so far. This true freshman is showing me a lot today.
They call it 1st and goal. It's a trick play. Shepard's got it. A block from Rudolph. Inside the 5, 2nd and goal. Heck of a day for Brandon Shepard, junior from St. Louis, who's got a touchdown catch. It has become somewhat of a security blanket, it's looked like at times, for Mason Rudolph.
Well, yeah, I mean, we talked about it a second ago. A drop touchdown by Glidden, a potential drop touchdown by Washington. Brandon Shepard has been the rock for Mason Rudolph today in the passing game.
2 fullbacks in the game on 2nd and goal. It's Rowland making a cut. 2nd effort, touchdown Oklahoma State. On the 2nd rushing score of the day for Rowland.
Here we go, Joe. Expect nothing less from this Bedlam game. Every year it comes down to the 4th quarter. It doesn't matter who's ranked in the top 25 and who's struggling to have a successful season. This game always comes down to the last couple drives.
3 of the last 4 have been decided in the very final minutes of the game. Rogan with the extra point, back to a 1-score game with the first points of this 2nd half for either side. It was Tyreek Hill hitting the seam for a big gain to set it all up. And Rowland capped it off with his 2nd rushing score of the day. Bedlam seemingly down to the wire again. 28-21 under the fog here in Norman. Early on in the 4th quarter, the 109th meeting between these in-state rivals, dominated by Oklahoma historically, 83-18 with 7 ties. But over the last few years, come to expect this kind of craziness down the stretch. Rowland's 2nd touchdown has brought Oklahoma State back to within a score. Alex Ross, 2 return touchdowns this season. Popped at the 15. And so Oklahoma's offense comes back onto the field without Samaje Perine, who left the game, it looked like, with an ankle injury. Counting that play where he injured his ankle, which he fumbled on. Since then, Oklahoma -1 yards on 8 plays.
That's the problem. If you're one-dimensional and that one dimension goes out, what do you turn to? I mean, Cody Thomas has been efficient throwing the ball, but by no means have they put the load on his shoulders. So now you're in a situation where you got to rely on a balance of Cody Thomas and Keith Ford and Alex Ross. I mean, I think you got to go right back to the ground. The ground is what's gotten you there. Yes, you lost Adam Shedd, but the majority of that offensive line is still there, and you need to go back and rely on them here in the fourth quarter.
Mekhi Quick taking the fake, and straight downhill is Ford. Look out! Inside the 30, breaks one off for 46 yards and steals the momentum right back.
Well, that's one way to get it back. Joe, you'll see just a massive hole open up right in front of you. Neela Casatati, Tyrus Thompson, Ty Darlington, the left side of that offensive line just opened up a huge hole for Keith Ford, and he just ran on a straight line for a big momentum switching play.
Mekhi Quick and the jet sweep. Close to the 20. Good first down gain for the freshman, pushed out by Simmons. And Oklahoma's offense wakes up with Oklahoma State creeping closer. Give Quick 6 yards. Cody Thomas continues to hand the ball off for Bob Stoops' team, which has been so run-oriented with Thomas as the starter since Trevor Knight has gone down. #1 rush offense in America in the month of November. It's Ross. Jimmy Bean over to make the tackle. 3rd down and 2 coming up.
Joe, here you go, 3rd down. Oklahoma State has actually played very well in the red zone today. They've done a nice job of limiting what Oklahoma's been able to do, but they've had a couple penalties that have frankly given too many opportunities to the Sooners. Oklahoma State has to overturn this momentum and hold Oklahoma to a field goal right now.
7 in the box for Oklahoma State. It's a pass play. Thomas has a man wide open. Ripkowski with another big play. 2 touchdowns today for the senior fullback. A reception for 4 yards to convert on 3rd and 2.
And not that you'd expect anything different from a fullback, but watch Aaron Ripkowski catch the ball, turn his head, and drop his shoulder. There's no dancing. He knows he's right there at the first down marker, and all he needs is 1 yard. He doesn't try and skirt anybody. He drops that shoulder into him and plows ahead for a first down.
Here's Ross. Big hole left side. Inside the 10. Stearns stripped him up along with Stevens. Good burst from Alex Ross. 2nd and short.
Well, Joe, not to take anything away from Samaje Perine and what he has done over the last couple games, but it seems like Oklahoma abandoned the run game over the last 2 drives. They were almost kind of in shock. You have to realize it was the offensive line that did so much of the work to open those holes, put Alex Ross, put Keith Ford in there. They're still going to run through those giant holes provided by the O-line.
Ross again. First down and goal for the Sooners. Sophomore from Jenks, Oklahoma, high school track star. Averages more than 7 yards a carry. He's more of a straight line guy, though. They like to get out on the edge, not your traditional style running back like they're using him right now.
Oh, yeah, he's such a big, tall runner, 6'1", 220 pounds. But if he hits the edge, boy, watch out.
A chop down, 2nd and goal. Stevens from his safety spot. Oklahoma in the red zone today has scored 4 touchdowns on 4 trips. That hasn't been without resistance, though, from this defense of Oklahoma State once they get inside the 5.
I was going to say that it doesn't feel like that. I mean, the near goal line stand they had earlier in the first half, which was negated by a couple pass interference penalties, really makes it feel like they've played fantastic in the red zone, which for the majority of the time they have.
Ross into the short side, hurdles his way to the goal line. Touchdown, Oklahoma. Sooners respond. Back up 2 scores.
Joe, take a look. Does Alex Ross's knee hit before he crosses the goal line?
Yep.
Yeah, I think this one may go to review.
Previous play ruling of a touchdown is under further review.
And all scoring plays are reviewed. They buzz down to make sure they get longer to look at this. And I think you're going to see it made 3rd down and goal inside the 1. Also known as Aaron Ripkowski time. Either way, though, an impressive drive for Oklahoma. We talked about it before this drive started, how they had been shut down since losing Pirine. Ford got him started with that long run. And here they are now inside the 5. Where they'll have it 3rd down and goal, you would assume, after this review.
Which they abandoned their identity the last 2 drives. Tried to play action pass on first down of their first drive without Pirine. Big fumble, knocked him back 10 yards. Tried to throw the ball early in the drive. On the second drive, both times put him behind the chains. Yes, Samaje Pirine is a fantastic running back. One of the best freshman running backs in the country. But the offensive line is what has allowed him to rush for so many yards. And they have very talented... This backfield is deep. I mean, we said that when we had him a couple weeks ago. Pirine, Ross, Keith Ford. Might be the deepest backfield in all of college football. Put those guys in the backfield, give them the football, and let them run behind this offensive line that, like you said, averages over 325 yards per man, or 325 pounds per man. Excuse
Pretty
me.
close to 325 yards,
yeah, you know,
too.
one of the
Depends on the day. Mike Gundy looks on, trying to get only his 2nd win in Bedlam as a head coach. It'd be his 5th win overall in his 24th Bedlam game. Over half his life. He's been involved in this series as a player in the late 80s, as an assistant, a couple of separate stints, and then as a head coach since 05. Here's your verdict from Ellen Eck.
After further review, the ball carrier's right knee touched the ground before the ball broke the play in the goal line. It's 3rd and goal at the half-yard line.
Now here's a spot against Kansas State earlier this season where they didn't have Aaron Ripkowski after he was thrown out for the targeting penalty, and they were shut down. And then a missed field goal that wound up costing them in a 1-point loss. They've got Ripkowski now. As we've talked about, they've got this tremendous O-line.
Well, they were also short Blake Bell on that drive as well. 2 seniors who played huge roles in this rushing attack. Both of them in the ball game now, both enjoying fantastic final games here in Norman.
Third down and goal. Ripkowski the fullback. Ross the tailback. Ripkowski powers his way in. His 3rd touchdown of the day.
Joe, this guy is a touchdown machine.
Yeah.
Just give him the ball. 18 points for Ripkowski today. He has 8 yards and 3 touchdowns. It's not a bad ratio.
But he cut for the extra point. Back to a 14-point lead for Oklahoma. The offense had gone silent, but then Keith Ford explodes on the first play of the drive, busting one off into Oklahoma State territory. And it leads to the Ripkowski score, his 3rd of the day. Sooners up 2 touchdowns inside of 8. In Norman, midway through the 4th quarter, and Aaron Ripkowski with his 3rd touchdown of the day. Entered the day with 2 touchdowns in his career, and on his senior day, he's got 3.
Not a bad way to go out in Norman, huh?
No. Some Ripkowski fans up there. And a cool, chilly even day here in Norman. Kicking into the wind, this should give Hill a chance, and it does. Tyreek Hill from the 7. Slips his way through. Stumbles for a moment, and that cost him. Out to the 39. Return of 32. Time for a game break. Here's Greg Wolf.
Guys, back at the SEC Championship game, opening drive of the second half, and Missouri comes to life. 4th and goal. Matty Mock finds Bud Sasser. 1-yard score, but number 1 Alabama still leads 21-10 third quarter. Joey, back to you.
Greg, as Chris Budden, Mizzou grad, would tell you, 5 division titles all time for Missouri. They've never won a conference championship, regardless of the conference they've been in. First down and 10 for Oklahoma State from the 38-yard line, down 2 scores. Bubble screen to Glidden, who dropped it. And you wonder, that's not in the back of his mind, him getting drilled the last time he ran a bubble.
Well, the last time they ran a bubble, they ran a slant by the outside receiver. This time Brandon Shepard's out in front of him and actually gets a nice block, just turns his head a little bit too quick, doesn't look it in.
Ball looks a little bit wet with the fog that we've got. Some moisture down in the field. 2nd and 10. Roland. Not much. 3rd and 9. Is this 4-down territory?
Boy, you caught me off guard. 7 minutes left? I would say yes.
Yeah.
I would. Because the way that Oklahoma, it took me a minute, but the way Oklahoma's been running the football today, they're going to take time off the clock.
One-on-one to the top of the screen. Rudolph looking that way, taking a shot. Shepard. It appeared he got held, but no call. 4th down. And the punt team's coming out.
Joe, you're going to see the coverage out here. Julian Wilson, number 2, grabs the back of his jersey there. Brandon Shepard's surprised that wasn't called. I'm surprised that wasn't called.
And you're surprised they're punting. I know it's a tough call.
It's a tough call. I think you can go either way. I think had it been 4th and shorter, had they gotten a couple yards on that 3rd down maybe, but you can't argue with this call.
Tip Smith with the win this time. Sanchez with a fair catch at the 23. 6:50 from a win in Bedlam for Oklahoma. Trying to go to 84-18 all time in this series. 6:50 left to go in this 109th Bedlam. And Oklahoma trying to solve things away, up 2 touchdowns. Joe Davis, Joey Harrington, Chris Budden. Our fantastic production crew led by Eric Billigmeyer and Jeremy Green. Great working with them all season. We're lucky to have those guys behind the scenes, leading the way along with our entire production crew. Alex Ross in there at tailback. Samaje Perine out of the game with an injury. Ross pulled down by Simmons. How soon do you start burning your timeouts if you're Mike Gundy?
Probably after a 1st down, maybe 2.
Okay.
But if I'm Mike Gundy, I'm putting everybody up at the line of scrimmage. I am forcing Cody Thomas to throw the ball. I mean, what's the worst that can happen, right? You give up a touchdown, you're already down 14 right now.
Right.
You have to get the ball back immediately. And Oklahoma has been running the football pretty much at will. You have to put 9 guys up by the line of scrimmage, play man-to-man coverage outside, and take your chances with Cody Thomas through the air.
Quick coming in motion, jet sweep. The sideline yelling at him to stay in bounds, and he does a nice job to do just that. 3rd down. And about 10. Be interesting to see if Bob Stoops trusts Cody Thomas enough to put it in the air. 10 of 14 today. A touchdown, no interceptions.
Joe, I don't know that it's a trust in Cody Thomas as much as it is just the situation of this ball game. You got a 14-point lead. I mean, why risk throwing the football? Put it in the hands of your running back, run more clock, force Oklahoma State to beat you. Don't give it to them.
And they do give it to Ford, so Mike Gundy's decision to punt pays off at least for the short term. And he'll use, it looks like, his first time out here.
Timeout.
Signaled it until
Oklahoma
now.
State, their first charge of the half.
Well done by Mike Gundy with the clock management back in 30 seconds. Well, Mike Gundy's started to take some heat around Stillwater, a guy that has brought this program to new heights in his time as the head coach. And all that this is a season that they didn't expect, but they knew coming in that it'd be a rebuilding year. And for the folks that have called for him to be replaced, that's absurd.
Well, yeah, let's have a little perspective here. This Oklahoma State team has won 10 games in 3 of the last 5 years. That's something that doesn't happen very often in Stillwater. Mike Gundy has done a fantastic job for this program.
Took over in 2005 and former record-setting quarterback of this program in the late 80s. Only a 32-yard punt there, so his offense will take over down 2 scores with 5:11 to go. Some solid clock management by him, deciding to punt. Obviously, hindsight's always 20/20. It looks like a good decision because it worked. Well, they'll need the offense to move the ball to try and come from behind in this Bedlam game. Rudolph, good anticipation, finding the window for Shepard. Working against Julian Wilson on a gain of 14.
Joe, what a nice job by Mason Rudolph. Coming to the backside, he was looking for James Washington on the front side post, sat in the pocket, came back to his secondary receiver on the backside. Well done by the freshman in the pocket.
Has one-on-one and a wide-open man. Shepard goes up and gets it, stays on his feet for a Cowboy touchdown. We're not finished yet in Bedlam. 43 yards, Shepard's second score of the day.
Wow. Watch the individual effort by Brandon Shepard. Beats the coverage in the line of scrimmage, makes a strong catch, fights through the safety coming over the top. That is just one young man not being denied. Great play by Brandon Shepard.
Extra point poked through. Oklahoma State back within a touchdown with 4:51 to go and 2 timeouts. The freshman Rudolph finding the junior Shepard, who's in for the score. A 1-touchdown game inside of 5 minutes. Back in a moment. .43-yard touchdown strike to Brandon Shepard. Went up, high point of the ball, broke a couple of tackles, and a career-high 156 yards for the St. Louis native. Mason Rudolph, 19 of 33 for 273, couple of touchdowns. Oklahoma now will try and grind the clock. You saw the play selection for them today, and really over the last few games, heavy ground game, but no Samaje Perine out with an injury.
Joe, expect Oklahoma State to put 9 guys up by the line of scrimmage to force Oklahoma to throw the ball.
Ball falls off of the tee. Ross back to return this kick, one of the nation's best, along with Deron Neal. Kip Smith drills it. His best kick of the day out of the back of the end zone, and from the 25, Oklahoma will begin this drive. This has become the norm in this series. You go back to last year, final couple of minutes of the game, Des Roland went in for the touchdown. Then Gilbert, it appeared, at an interception. They didn't review it, so the incomplete pass stood. Blake Bell with a touchdown to the corner of the end zone for Saunders, and then in the ensuing possession, a fumble picked up by Eric Stryker to finish the game. An Oklahoma win in Stillwater. Oklahoma heavily favored it today. 20-point favorite coming into the game, up 7, 4:51 left.
Joe, look at all the guys near the line of scrimmage for Oklahoma State. They're going to make Cody Thomas throw this ball.
Ross runs for 5. You've said it, no Samaje Perine, but you still have one of the nation's biggest and best offensive lines to run behind.
But you can only block so many guys. You know, you got 5 offensive linemen, you got a tight end, you got a fullback. There's 7. If Oklahoma State is putting 8 or 9 guys up near the line of scrimmage, you're going to have 1 or 2 guys unblocked.
They motion Smallwood and give it to Ross. Tripped up. 3rd and 2.
All right, here you go. If you're Oklahoma State, you have to commit to this line of scrimmage.
Oklahoma State, their second timeout, 30 seconds in line.
They use their second timeout here. Time for a game break. Greg Wolf.
Guys, still to come on Fox, can Urban Meyer and number 5 Ohio State keep their college football playoff hopes alive with a new starting quarterback and find a way to stop the nation's leading rusher, Melvin Gordon, in Wisconsin? It's the Big Ten championship game from Lucas Oil Stadium at 7 Eastern on Fox. Joey, back to you.
Greg, we'll be hustling to a spot to watch that game as soon as we're finished here, but we're in for a heck of a finish in this one. 3rd down and 2 coming up for Bob Stoops in Oklahoma. 1 timeout remaining for Oklahoma State. Another monster rushing day for Bob Stoops' team. Need a couple of yards here to keep this drive alive and keep that clock moving.
Joe, do you throw the ball?
No. Do you?
Maybe you slip Ripkowski into the flat, but no, you're going downhill. Look at how many guys Oklahoma State has up at the line of scrimmage.
And they give it to Ross, who's shut down in the backfield, and Oklahoma State will get the ball back with a chance. Seth Jacobs there with Ryan Simmons.
Timeout. Oklahoma
The
State.
final timeout used by Mike Gundy.
30-second timeout.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guys up near the line of scrimmage right there. Oklahoma State was not going to let Oklahoma run the ball for that first down. That was a gutsy call by Mike Gundy and that Oklahoma State Cowboy defense, because if they got through that first line, it's touchdown.
Yeah.
You got nothing behind you.
But what do you got to lose, right?
Nothing.
A lot of the folks hit the exits when Oklahoma went up 2 touchdowns. Fans from both sides. They're hearing now, words trickling through. They're checking Twitter saying, wait a minute, what? Oklahoma State's about to get the ball back down a touchdown with 4 minutes left.
You can't leave early at Bedlam.
Only 1 punt in the first half for Oklahoma. This is the 4th punt in their last 5 possessions. Oklahoma State alert right here. Barnett does punt it away. Tyreek Hill takes it at the 30. Breaks 1 tackle. Gets outside. Now reversing field once again and dropped at the 27. 38-yard punt. Here comes Mason Rudolph trying to join the ranks of Josh Fields. The last time there were 3 touchdown underdogs came into Norman, and a true freshman in the form of Josh Fields came into the game in the 2nd quarter, led him to a win. 3 touchdown underdogs again today. Back within 7 with the ball inside of 4 minutes. They fake it to Hill. Rudolph, all kinds of time. Held on to it too long and goes down at the 25. Devontae Bond got there with Chuka and Durdaway. 2nd and 12.
And Joe, again, great coverage down the field by the Oklahoma secondary, forcing Mason Rudolph to hold on to that football longer than he wanted to.
No timeouts left for the Cowboys. Rudolph over the middle. Wide open is Jarwin, but he dropped it.
Wow. What a perfect throw. Oh, and there it is. Just getting his fingertips on it is Dominic Alexander. Just enough to change the trajectory so that Blake Jarwin can't hold on.
3rd down and 12. Into a tight window, picked off. Zach Sanchez with his 6th of the season.
I see what he was looking at, Mason Rudolph here. He has David Glidden in the slot, trying to find him in that zone, but Zach Sanchez recognizes the route, falls off from his corner position, and frankly, that's just something that you need to see from experience. That's a young freshman quarterback being put in a tough situation against an All-American corner who recognizes the route concept. He knows that his guy isn't a threat, so he can fall inside, makes a nice play. You simply can't plan for that. You just got to see it. You have to have that experience, and a true freshman in his 2nd game doesn't have that experience.
No timeouts remaining for Oklahoma State. Sooners do need to get a 1st down in order to ice this game. A loss of a yard with Jordan Stearns dropping Alex Ross. Can run it down to about 2.5 before snapping it here on 2nd down. And any points here would make it a 2-possession game. But a good kicker, Michael Honeycutt, has made more field goals than any player in Big 12 history if they get a few more yards to set him up for one. Ross again. Nope, it's a fake. Wow. And Thomas goes down, losing 4.
Joe, I actually like the call, because what he tells Cody Thomas is give a hard fake, peel out the backside. You're not going to be throwing this ball. But Oklahoma State is expecting the ball to go to the running back, and maybe you can break, contain around the outside, pick up a big chunk. But Cody Thomas did the right thing in not throwing the football. He got right back into the pocket, went down, kept the clock running.
Inside of 2 minutes now, 10 to snap it. 3rd down and 16. Ross dropped at the 45. They can run it down to about 1:10. Inside of 1:10 before having to snap it for this 4th down play. And you know Oklahoma State's going to be coming after it.
Well, you're going to have about 50 seconds left, the length of the field to go, and a true freshman under center. How about that for Oklahoma State? There's where legends are made right there.
Masterful job by Mike Gundy managing those timeouts. Not just him, but this defense, which has kept them in the game. The play clock winds down inside of 5. They snap it to Barnett. Almost blocked, and they got a hold of it. If it's the plant leg, it's roughing. If it's his kicking leg, it's only running into the kicker. And it's just going to be running. That's the preliminary indication from Allenek, which would only be a 5-yard penalty. Let's see if that's confirmed here.
Running into the kicker. Number 13, defense. 5-yard penalty. It's 4th down.
Joe, take a look at the right hamstring. That's where the contact is. Tries to get his head out of the way.
The game clock will start on the snap.
Nah, you got it.
Yeah.
You got to wonder if there's a little bit of acting by Barnett, but he did. Jordan Stearns made contact with that right hamstring.
Which is the kicking leg, and in making that the case where if you hit the kicking leg, it's running, you protect the guy that's going for the block.
Right.
Versus a roughing the kicker, which would come on the plant leg, theoretically meaning he wasn't going for the block. So they'll punt it again with 1:01. Tyreek Hill back at his own 11. This time they set up the return. Barnett sends a good one. Hill has it. Tyreek Hill with speed. Breaks through. Hill with the speed. Look out. This is Bedlam. Yards of history for Tyreek Hill, and an extra point away from a tie game. Ben Grogan has to hit this to tie it at 35. Out of the hold of Kip Smith. Low snap, picked up and put through. Caleb Smith bounced the snap back. Kip Smith picked it up and put it down for the game tie and extra point. 35 all with 45 seconds.
Joe, the best running into the kicker penalty in the history of Oklahoma State football because it gave Tyreek Hill a chance to do this. You could see it develop from up here in the booth, and the moment he got by that first tackle, gone. You do not catch the speed of Tyreek Hill. And you said it, Joe, Bedlam. You expect this every time these two football teams meet.
How about the block from Jordan Stearns to open it up for the final 50 yards? It was almost as if Oklahoma was caught off guard that he caught the punt. And so, 45 seconds now, 2 timeouts for Oklahoma, a team that has relied on the run as heavily as any team you'll ever see over the last month. We'll see what they do with less than a minute. Remember, Alex Ross back to return this kick, one of the best kick returners in the country as well. Ross will have a chance. Ross with room. Jordan Stearns pulls him down across the 35. He returned it 36 yards. And with 37 seconds and 2 timeouts, Cody Thomas and this OU offense back to the field.
And remember, Joe, they don't have to score a touchdown. They just have to get into the field goal range of one of the best kickers in the history of the Big 12 Conference.
Although he doesn't have the strongest leg, talking about Michael Honeycutt, hit a 53-yarder as a freshman. Or 51-yarder as a freshman, but his longest this year is 44 yards. Hasn't attempted one beyond 50. They need to get the ball to the 27 to be within range of his season long. Working into the win with 37 seconds. Thomas steps up in the pocket and gets sacked. Sam Wren got to him. Bob Stoops uses his second timeout.
Timeout. Oklahoma. The second charge of the half. 30-second timeout.
Joe, and while you need to be aggressive in pushing the ball down the field in order to get into field goal range, you got to be aware of getting hit from behind. How many times have you seen a quarterback with his eyes down the field gets hit from behind by the D lineman wrapping back around for a sack fumble? Cody Thomas has not been in this position very often. You don't have the experience to rely on. You have to be careful and be very safe with the football while you're trying to be aggressive
and push it down the field. It's kind of an oxymoron. You got to be safe, but you have to take a few chances.
And again, Oklahoma is without Sterling Shepard, their top receiver right now, who tweaked his groin again early in this game on his first reception. No true deep threat out there. With Cody Thomas at quarterback in 2nd and 12. Against a 4-man rush. Cross his body for Bell, bounced it in there, 3rd and 12. You got to be careful not to have to punt it again. 3rd down coming up. For those of you tuning in for the UFC 181 pre-fight show, we'll get you out there immediately when we finish here. In the meantime, it's available on Fox Sports 2 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Tyreek Hill with a 92-yard punt return for a touchdown inside of a minute to tie this game. Now on 3rd and 12, Cody Thomas. Handed off on a draw. Ford with room. Pulled down shy of the 1st down marker by Larry Stevens. The clock running. 1 timeout left for Oklahoma.
Joe, I'm surprised Coach Stoops isn't using this timeout.
Well, with it being 4th down, why not use it now? He won't use it at all.
The game clock expired before the snap. That's the end of regulation.
So Bob Stoops, instead of using that timeout for one last heave to the end zone, will play for overtime. Wow. Tyreek Hill's 92-yard punt return for a score ties the game inside of a minute. And in the 109th meeting between these rivals for the 2nd time in its history and for the 2nd time in the last 3 years, we head to overtime, locked at 35. First-year JUCO transfer Tyreek Hill chose Oklahoma State largely because of their track program and the new track facilities, and needed that world-class speed to return a punt 92 yards for the game-tying touchdown inside of a minute.
An outstanding play during the first 4 quarters. We're now going to discuss the overtime procedures. The team that wins the toss will have the choice of going on defense, going on offense, or choosing the end of the field. The team that goes on offense first will have the ball 1st and 10 at the opponent's 25-yard line. Each team has 1 timeout and 1 replay challenge remaining. David, you're going to call the toss. The side of the logo is heads. The side of the teams is tails. What is your choice? Tails. Tails has been called. Tails, Oklahoma State has won the ball. You can go on defense. People look in the field. You want to play. Switch guys here. Oklahoma State has won a toss and elected to go on defense. It's Oklahoma's ball. 1st and 10,
so OK State, as is customary, wins the toss and chooses defense first. Oklahoma chooses to play in front of its student section, half of which has left. Each team with a possession from the 25. And we're ready for the 2nd overtime game in Bedlam history, and the 2nd overtime game in the last 2 meetings here in Norman. Oklahoma winning 51-48 2 years ago when both teams were ranked. That was after Oklahoma scored with 4 seconds remaining on a Blake Bell belldozer touchdown run to tie the game, send it into OT. They won it on a Brennan Clay touchdown run after Oklahoma State settled for a field goal on its overtime possession. Now, after Oklahoma initially said they wanted to play down in front of the students, they've changed their mind, and they'll play down to our right. Cody Thomas, redshirt freshman quarterback, back to work out of the shotgun with Keith Ford in the game at running back. Quick comes in motion off of the fake, under pressure, gets popped. Castleman and Howtow got to him for a loss of 2.
Joe, we haven't talked about James Castleman much today, but this guy has absolutely been a force for Oklahoma State his entire career. He's done everything. 108 tackles, 16 and a half tackles for loss, 4 sacks, 6 pass breakups, 2 fumble recoveries, 4 blocked kicks. This young man made a huge play for Oklahoma State at a key time.
2nd sack today allowed by Oklahoma. They had allowed just 6 all season coming in. Over the middle, it's Bell who has it off his fingertips. Might have been broken up by Jacobs, who was hot in pursuit, and it's 3rd and 12.
Joe, 2 straight pass plays for Oklahoma. You've been running the ball all day, and now you come out in overtime and throw the ball twice? I know you had to throw the ball to try and score at the end of the game, but it's almost like they forgot who they were. This has been a very one-dimensional team for the majority of the end of the season. You got to go back to what you've been doing so well.
So now 3rd down and 12, just barely within the range of Michael Honeycutt. Ogba with a bull rush, almost got to him. A flag down. I think you're going to get a holding on an incomplete pass. Now the question is, do you take it and move him back out of field goal range potentially?
71, offense. Penalty is declined.
You decline it, force the try from right here, which will be officially 43 yards.
Joe, you're going to have Tyrus Thompson, number 71, trying to defend Emmanuel Ogba. That's a tough task. Gets his left arm wrapped right around his neck. That's a good call.
So Michael Honeycutt is on to try and give Oklahoma points in this first overtime session.
The previous play ruling of an incomplete pass is under further review.
So they're going to take a look at this to see if this ball was maybe pulled in.
And this would change things, Joe.
Yeah.
This would dramatically change things.
Jordan Smallwood with a tremendous effort. No, I don't think so, because he's laying out of bounds.
Did his knee hit before his elbow did?
Not before he had possession, I don't think.
That first look, exactly. If this does get overturned and it's a catch, they accept the holding penalty and move him backwards. But that first look was the best look at it to see if he had possession. Now watch. Watch his left elbow. Does it hit before his left knee?
I think it does.
And that ball moved just slightly.
Ruling on the field is confirmed.
Right. Yep.
Incomplete pass. It's 4th down.
Yeah, that was the key. The ball just moved slightly as he was going to the ground. And even if his knee had hit before his elbow, he didn't complete the catch and maintain possession all the way to the ground.
So the 5th-year senior from Richardson, Texas, Michael Honeycutt, 75 career-made field goals, a Big 12 record. Attempts this from 44, which would match his season long. And he hooked it. No good. Anything will do for Oklahoma State now. Special teams, the story down the stretch in this one. Tyreek Hill's 92-yard punt return for a touchdown sent it into OT. And now Honeycutt misses from 44 on Oklahoma's possession.
Joe, and while people are going to look to the Honeycutt kick here in overtime, if they lose this game, it's not because of that kick. It's because of the poor special teams coverage on the punt at the end. It's because of not moving the ball and getting into field goal range at the end of the regulation. It's because they abandoned their identity to start this overtime period and threw the ball twice. Honeycutt has taken some criticism for missing some kicks this year, but this does not fall on his shoulders if the ball game goes to Oklahoma State.
Ben Grogan, Oklahoma State's kicker, has a long of 47. They're already within that range. Desmond Rowland in the game at running back, in front of the freshman Rudolph. Gains a yard inside the 25. 2 touchdowns today for the senior, who's hoping that an overtime win can extend his college career into a bowl game. OK State trying to snap this 5-game skid to reach a bowl for a school record 9th consecutive season.
Joe, and if I'm Mike Gundy, I ask my kicker which hash you like the ball on, and I run the ball 2 more times and set him up for that game-winning field goal.
Rowland again inside the 20. 3rd down.
Joe, I am 99% positive this ball is not going in the air. I mean, I've seen a lot of strange things, but like I said, you go to Ben Grogan, you say, where do you want it? and then you hand the ball to Desmond Rowland, you get him to that spot, and you put it in the hands of your kicker, or put it in the foot of your kicker.
Timeout, Oklahoma State.
Mike Gundy uses his first overtime timeout. Each team with one timeout per overtime. And he'll use his here. Well, they started this season 5-1. They've dropped 5 in a row in blowout fashion, all by at least 3 touchdowns. The first time since the 60s that Oklahoma State had dropped 5 games in a row by 21 or more. But Mike Gundy rallying the troops with a bye week following the loss at Baylor, with a true freshman quarterback coming in and making the start, only his second career start. And is now a field goal away from beating Oklahoma for the first time in his coaching career at Owen Field. And no doubt getting at least a handful of those critics for the time being off his back.
Well, Joe, this is one of these rivalry games where the season can go completely south, but if you beat Oklahoma, I mean, that is 365 days of being the best team in the state of Oklahoma. That's something to hang your hat on right there.
Grogan waits for his opportunity. 3rd down and 4 with Rowland at tailback. Rowland breaks the tackle. First down inside the 15, and they're turning it into a chip shot for Grogan.
Joe, how fitting for an offensive line that has taken so much criticism, a running back, a senior in Desmond Rowland, who hasn't put up the numbers that he has the last couple years. How fitting is it that the offensive line opens up a big hole and the senior carries it for a big first down to set up, like you said, a possible chip shot for Oklahoma State.
From the 11, first down, back to Rowland. Powering his way to the 5. Fighting forward to the 3, and it's 2nd down. Riding their senior Rowland, who lost his mother this year to cancer, missed a game back in late October to be with his family, and returned and has used his teammates to battle through. There's no doubt been the toughest thing he's ever had to go through. And try to cap this senior regular season with a win that he'll remember his entire life. 2nd down and 2 from the 3. Rowland again. 3rd down now. Jordan Evans makes the tackle.
Interesting decision here Coach Gundy has. Do you kick it on 3rd down? A lot of coaches will make that call in case something goes wrong with the snap.
Which it did on the game-tying extra point, if you recall. Caleb Smith, redshirt freshman snapper, bounced it back there. Ben Grogan has not attempted a field goal since October. Basically an extra point. Out of the hold of Kip Smith. Grogan hits it. Oklahoma State saves its season with an overtime win in Bedlam.
Joe, how fitting for a team that has had such up and downs all year. They start 5-1, they lose 5 straight to go on the road to their in-state rivals and win a huge game that nobody expected. What a great job by Coach Mike Gundy and his football team.
Let's go down to Chris Budden, who's in the middle of that mess with Mike Gundy.
Well, Coach, just another usual Bedlam game for you guys. You become bowl eligible. You end the season with this win. What does it mean for you?
Well, I'm really happy for the players. They put a lot into this. You know, there's a lot of talk about this game, but the preparation just has to be just like any other game. The kids played their butt off, and they never gave up, so I'm really proud of them.
If anyone here knows what it's like to play as a true freshman in Bedlam, it would be you. Knowing that, what did Mason Rudolph prove to you out there today?
Well, he competed, you know. He wanted to throw the ball out here at the end on third down, and I told him he's somewhat lost his mind, but he competes, you know. The guy likes to play the game, and everybody really, you know, you can't say enough about our defense getting a couple big stops, and then obviously with Tyreek there at the end, you know, he just kind of willed his way to the end zone.
I appreciate it. Congratulations,
Okay.
Coach.
Thank you.
Joe?
All right, Chris, the Academy Sports and Outdoors Right Stuff player of the game. Could have been a number of guys. We'll give it to Ben Grogan with a game-winning field goal from 21 yards.
Wow. He's out of his mind? This is what Coach Gundy said. He wanted to throw it on third down. Well, sometimes you got to be a little bit out of your mind to go on the road as a true freshman and throw for 273 yards and 2 touchdowns and help your heavy underdog teammates win on the road.
A 3-touchdown underdog for the first time since they came here to Norman and won in 2001. Oklahoma State is bowl eligible with an overtime miraculous win in Bedlam.